are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast. We got a special guest in the house, Nick fucking Fuentes, baby. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast, man. We got a special guest in the house, Nick Fuentes. Real quick before we get into the show, well, actually, do we got to kill the Twitch and Facebook stream already? Because he's probably bad off those, right?
We probably should.
Yeah.
Right away.
Right away. Come on over to YouTube, guys. YouTube, type Fresh Fit or Rumble, rumble.com/Fresh Fit. We're dual streaming this thing on Rumble and YouTube, and we're probably going to have to take the rest of the interview on YouTube. Or Rumble, sorry. Definitely not YouTube. So real quick announcements, guys. Rumble.com/Fresh Fit. I got it there in the banner because today's episode is definitely going to have to go to Rumble, but we're going to start off here on YouTube for y'all and keep it somewhat YouTube clean before we go over there. But Rumble.com/Fresh Fit. Also, check us out on freshfit.locals.com. Get all the behind the scenes content, guys. That's safe. Also, Fresh Fit and Fresh and Fit store as well, where you guys get the t-shirts, hoodies, all the merch is there. And then also check out our Clips channel, guys. We've been going pretty hard on the Clips channel, man. We're almost at 40 million views for the month, man. So it's been going really well. So go ahead, check it out, man. Fresh and Fit Clips on there. Trying to get it to 1 million. So go ahead and subscribe to that channel. 80% of y'all that are watching that channel are not subscribed. And also, more Fresh Fit Clips is our other Clips channel. So if you guys don't got time to watch the full pod, go ahead and check out the Clips channel. And then check us out on Spotify. We're posting on there every single day. Mo's on top of it. And then also, Fresh, you want to talk about your blog?
Yes, guys. We're going to be in Colombia this month, actually. I'm super excited. If you want to see our vlogs, lifestyle, go check out the vlog channel. 200 kind of way. Let's go. And then join the network, man. We're going to be there as well. Adding value, giving value. Go check it out.
And then check me out, guys, on Fed Reacts, guys, over there. I break down criminal cases. If you guys like true crime, well, I do it over there. I cover everything from serial killers. The last episode I did, I reviewed New Mech from Ryan Dawson, Nick's best friend, where I covered how a certain state that won't be named stole the nuclear bomb from the United States. So go ahead and check it out over there on Fed Reacts. And also, don't forget to go ahead and get my book, Why Women Deserve Less, because they do deserve less. Book's only about 80 pages, can deserve less. Amazon bestseller, go get it. And then also, guys, do me a quick favor. Go check out Nick on cozy.tv/Nick. Link is below. That's his own website, by the way. How did that come about?
Well, I had to invent it because I got banned from everything. So, made my own.
So, Nick, I know who you are. Fresh knows who you are. I think our audience is pretty familiar with you as well and all the grapers out there. But can you introduce yourself to the people who may not know who you are?
Well, I'm Nicholas Shea Fuentes. I'm kind of the most banned man, I think, in the world, or I'm certainly up there.
Yeah.
But I'm a live streamer. I do a show Monday through Friday. It's called America First. I run a nonprofit, and I basically been the leader of the dissident right for like the last 4 years in America.
Absolutely. So, but going back, because obviously, everyone knows, Nick Fuentes now, but I want to get to know Nick from before. Pause. Can you tell us a little bit about like your upbringing and background? You're very religious. I want to kind of see how'd you get there?
Sure. Well, I didn't actually start out super religious. I mean, I was born Catholic. I was baptized Catholic, but I was a pretty normal guy for most of my life. I mean, I went to high school and I was always very political, but I was really more like a mainstream person. Like if you met me when I was 14, 15 years old, I mean, I was as political as I am now, believe it or not. But my views were totally consistent with anything you'd see on Fox News or libertarians, Republicans, that sort of thing. And so it wasn't until I got to college, wasn't until I got to Boston University after the Trump election that I really came into the red pill. I got red pilled, so to speak. And I reverted back to my religion. Not that I ever went away, but I really became truly a Catholic. And I became a right-wing extremist that I am today.
According to Wikipedia, right?
Right.
And you, so you actually found your religion more so when you went to college, went to Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people go to college, they become liberal. I went there crazy. I did the opposite.
Yeah.
I became a reactionary.
Was there a moment in time that, like, for example, an event that happened that made you say, you know what, let me get closer to God? Or was it more like it just happened?
No, it was a real event. I went to Boston University, and I'd never lived away from home. I never lived outside of Chicago, which is where I grew up. And it was one thing that precipitated it specifically. Maybe you guys don't remember, because this was kind of like, if you weren't paying close attention, you wouldn't have noticed it. But in October 2016, this was when we first heard about Russia and the Russia Gate, Russia stuff. And if you remember, Joe Biden, then the vice president, comes out and does a press conference because Obama was talking about meddling in the election.
Yeah.
And Biden comes out and says, well, we're going to retaliate. And I remember thinking there's a good chance Clinton becomes president and we're in a nuclear war with Russia, kind of like where we are now, which is scary. There are some developments today with these cluster munitions. And so I remember in October 16th thinking like, okay, the world's going to end. Like it's over. We're done. We're all going to die. And I remember thinking like, there's got to be more. I wake up, I eat my 3 meals, I go to my classes, wake up, rinse, repeat. And I'm thinking, I'm a person that wants meaning in my life. I'm a person that has consciousness. There's got to be more than the routine. There's got to be more than the physical. And so that was the first time I went out to the bookstore there. Maybe you remember, I know you went to school close by. I went to the Barnes & Noble on Commonwealth Ave by the big Citgo sign.
I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah, you know right where that is,
yeah.
by Kenmore. And I bought a Bible, my first Bible. I read the Bible, and I read some other books, and I watched videos. And, like I said, I was baptized Catholic, but I really started to believe. I really developed this sort of spiritual consciousness. So it was that in particular. I was afraid of Hillary Clinton, basically.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So because most people go off to college and become way more liberal, they become less religious, they become, oh yeah, let's hug the trees. And especially Boston. I mean, I could speak from experience here. I graduated college in 2013. When you went, it was worse. I'll never forget. I went back to Boston back in like 2015. I had a Make America Great hat again, and everyone was harassing me. It was bad. You know what I mean? So it's only gotten worse. And you were there. How long did you stay at BU before you left?
I was there for 2 semesters. I was there from September 16 until May 17.
Well, and what was that like being over there as a conservative, a religious conservative?
Well, it was brutal. I mean, because I was there during the Trump election.
Yeah.
So I got on campus and the election was 2 months later. And I was kind of like famous when I got on the campus, because I wore the MAGA hat everywhere.
Yes.
That was like what I was known for.
Yep.
People were like talking shit about me on Yik Yak. You remember? Maybe that was a little after you were in 2013. So I think it was a little after.
I was gone, but I went back a few times, to hang out with old friends because a bunch of my teammates were still in school. So I would go back every now and then. But sorry, continue.
Sure. So people were talking shit about me on the Facebook group and on the Yik Yak page saying, oh, there's that kid with the MAGA hat on in the dining hall. And people would come up and literally attack me. People would come up. I remember I was in the line to get like pizza at the dining hall. Sure. And this black chick comes up in the hijab and everything. And she rolls up and she's like,
share it. Yeah, this is him back the America Great, the MAGA hat and everything else like that.
That was a little later. That was like 2020. But yeah, I mean, that's me in a MAGA hat. And so I'd be in the dining hall. This black chick rolls up and starts berating me. I'm in the line to get food, telling me, you got to justify the Muslim ban and all this. And so I was harassed. There was a lot of death threats. But that was also how I got my start. Because within the first 2 months, there was this big firestorm on Twitter because I was pumping out tweets. Stuff that was edgy at that time. I was pumping stuff out, feminism sucks, multiculturalism's cancer. Pretty like mild, by today's standards. But back then, this was hot stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was pushing this stuff out. And I was contacted by this group, Young Americans for Liberty, this like libertarian group. And they said, we want to set up a debate with you and one of your detractors because it was blowing up on social media. I said, I'm down. This almost didn't even happen. They were looking for somebody. Nobody wanted to do it. The student body president of Boston University stepped up to debate me. I'm like a freshman. I was there for a month.
Yeah.
And I'm debating the student body president. So they set it up. We did it in I forget the venue.
Was it a female?
No, it was a guy. Oh, some gay guy.
No, of course.
Yeah, typical.
Of course, at BU. Yeah,
he was wearing a beanie.
Yeah,
I was making fun of him for that.
There's a reason why they say sucks to be you.
Yeah, well, it sucked to be him for sure that night.
So you debate him to take us through that.
So it was like 300 people showed up. It's like a big deal for because we weren't like e-celebrities or anything. It's like 300 people show up, and I go out there. It's like a week before the election, and I'm like, you know what? Trump is going to win. And I just go off because they're all liberals, all women in the audience. And I pop off. People love it. There's this girl in the audience named Cassie Dillon.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of her, but at that time she was working for Daily Wire. She's working for Ben Shapiro.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. So she periscopes the whole thing on Twitter, and it's blowing up, thousands of people watching. She texts Ben Shapiro because she's working for him at this time. And she says, Ben, I just discovered this guy. I still have the screenshot. She's like, you got to take him under your wing. He's the greatest thing. And so she comes up and interviews me after the debate. And, you know, we do a little post-game recap, whatever. And the last thing she asked me, and, you know, I don't know, I'm not going to say the country, but she says, one last question. Would you ever take a trip to the country?
Motherland.
The motherland. Right?
And we'll talk about the tweet, too, that got you viral with him. Because I want the people to know that tweet. We'll talk about that on Rumble, guys. Don't worry. Sorry.
Totally. Yeah. Because that's some good lore. Yeah. So she asked me that, and I tell her, and this is before I'm even fully red-pilled. I said, Cassie, I said, I have everything I need right here in America.
Yeah.
And I'm America first.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that was sort of like how I made a splash. I start getting a Twitter following. I get introduced to all these guys at Daily Wire.
Yeah.
That's when I started to run into problems, though, you know, because, and this is sort of, a lot of people don't know this about me. People look at me and they say, oh, he's another David Duke. He's another Richard Spencer. I was going to be the next Shapiro, Will Witt, you know, whatever. Basically being groomed like all these other young college Republicans. I was on that track to be a normie conservative influencer. But it happened to coincide with the Trump election, where Trump was raising some very interesting points. Like when he goes out and says America first, that creates a big problem for the system that we have.
Yeah.
Because the system is basically predicated on foreign influence and corruption. And so when one guy goes up and says America first, suddenly it's a big problem for the people that want Iraq war, Afghanistan war, Syria war, war with Russia, whatever, free trade for that matter, TPP. And so I start asking these questions of all these guys at Daily Wire saying, hey, man, what's the deal with the foreign aid? You know, what's the deal with the war? What's the deal with the Security Council vote? You know, at that time, Obama, and I didn't like Obama, but I defended him in December 16. He goes out there and he allowed the United States to abstain on the Security Council vote where they were condemning Israel. Everyone freaked. They said, he's an anti-Semite. He's the worst guy ever. I said, hang on a second. We owe them, you know, we owe them that we have to give them this unconditional diplomatic support no matter what. I wrote this big article about it. I'm pushing tweets, and they basically told me, and here I am still under the impression that it's a free marketplace of ideas. You know, we're the right wings of Patriot movement. And they come and tell me, they say, hey, listen, you got to stop asking these questions. Stop talking about this. You know, we'll answer it privately, but you're basically making too much of a fuss about this stuff. You got to drop it. And I said, I'm not going to drop it. Like, this is legit. I mean, you got to give me answers, or you got to let me ask. And I got a text from Cassie Dillon. I want to say, I don't know, several months into 2017, I'm still at BU. And she says, listen, we are not in the same movement. You keep asking these questions. You are alt-right. You are an anti-Semite. I'm never going to talk to you ever again. She was like,
just for asking the question about foreign aid.
Yeah.
Just for asking about foreign aid. Wow.
Mild stuff. Not even like what I'm on now.
Yeah. Well,
you know, which is more.
We'll talk about that on Rumble.
Right.
Some of your more controversial views. But that's wild, though, that like just off of that alone, very simple stuff like, hey, some foreign aid. What's going on with this? Oh, no, what are you doing? Right. So, wow. So real quick, we talked about Trump. 2016, he gets elected president. Where were you, and what went through your mind? Because I'll tell you this, I was fucking shocked when that happened. I was down in Laredo, Texas on the Mexican border. I was shocked when that went down. Where were you at, and what was it like?
It was the best day ever. I mean, literally like one of the best days of my life, without even joking, no exaggeration. I mean, I was there on campus, and I was getting attacked for months.
Of course. People
just literally yelling at me in the street, confronting me in the dining hall. And so I remember
it's real, dude. I remember when I wore the hat, like it is real. Like they will, like back then, they would attack you in Boston. Physical violence for you being a Trump supporter. It was crazy, dude.
Yeah, no, I think it was actually worse then than it is now.
It's way worse back then. It was way worse because I remember like they looked at it like this is a joke. This guy's the apprentice. He's not going to win. He's a white supremacist. They're saying all kinds of crazy stuff about Trump back then. He hates black people. He hates Arabs. He hates Muslims. He hates everybody. There's no way he's gonna make it. So it was like a joke. So if you wore the hat, they kind of like looked at it like we can attack him because it's a joke, right? Then they kind of like had this veil of like he's not gonna win. But when he actually won, it became real. Right. They all flipped out and they went crazy. And speaking of which, real quick, that debate, you smoked that guy, didn't you?
Which debate?
The one, but you. The first one. Yeah. Talking about it.
Totally. It was brutal.
Do you remember, what was the biggest dunk on him that you remember that you?
I don't remember. I mean, this is so long ago. It was almost 5 years. It's 7. Yeah. Nah,
there had to be like
7 years. Damn.
One standout moment though. Like, where did you? What topic was that you just dunked on him on?
I think there was one part, because at that time they were hitting Trump with all the sex assault allegations. You remember that?
Yeah.
And we never heard from those people ever again, minus this civil suit that just happened recently. But back then, he raped 12 women, this and that. And so I remember they asked me about that in the audience question. And I basically said, they're liars. Like, I don't believe any women. This is even before Me Too. And the room lit up. Of course. People were leaving like crying because that was like the era, like the triggered SJWs. Yeah. People freaked out.
To give everyone just perspective, like back then, if you came up with an accusation, they believed you. There was no like false, the false accusations weren't a thing for celebs. Like if someone came at a celeb back then, 100% he did it. Right. And now we know, right, this E. Carroll woman, right, she went on fucking CNN and said, you can rape someone emotionally.
Yeah.
This is the clown world that we're in. So like it was all bullshit. And I don't know where any of these women are now that claim this shit. And the only reason that Trump lost that civil suit, by the way, for all you guys out there, is
he didn't
posted on my Instagram. Yeah, he didn't care
at all.
Bro, there's a clip. You know what, Chris? Pull up the clip. Type in Trump deposition tells a lawyer you're not attractive. I'll play that clip real quick for y'all. That's why he basically lost, because he didn't give a fuck. He went to that deposition and didn't care. But sorry, going back. Election night, he wins 2016.
Yeah, so I was, there were very few Trump supporters on the campus. I think it was literally like 4. And like I knew all of them because we all met at the big Fox News debate viewing party. And anyway, so we were all in my buddy's dorm room. And, I thought he had a good chance of winning. I actually had money on it. I think I bet $1,000 that Trump would win. I put money down in the second debate when he went out there and said, because you'd be in jail. I ran to my laptop. I put like $1,000 on Trump on Predict It because I'm like, he just won, but I wasn't sure because, you remember how it was. It's like you said, it wasn't real until it happened.
Yeah.
So we were there. We were chilling. We didn't even have a TV.
I was shocked. I thought Hillary had it. Like you had all the feminists going crazy. I was like, dude, she's gonna win. This is like no way. But
you and everybody else, right? Yeah. I mean, 97% Huffington Post, right? Yeah. And so I was there in the apartment, and we were watching the New York Times. And you remember those? They had these dials, and they said she's got a 99% chance winning. And as the night went on, it just went further and further. And we just, as the night went on, we were going crazy. We're like, he did it. Like he memed his way into the White House. And so it's nuts.
He did though,
right?
His Instagram is all jokes, like making fun of Biden and making fun of everybody. Ron DeSantis, like, it's hilarious.
Well, the Twitter was nuts. Yeah. I mean, back in 2016, people forget. I always make it a point to say this when I do interviews. It's like, Trump today is way more mild compared to 2016. He was going out there and said, like, we're going to ban all the Muslims in the United States. What? Like,
he said, I'll never forget this. He said, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. And I was like, what the fuck? This guy's crazy. Because I was on the Mexican border at the time. And everyone was like, no way it's going to happen. And I was like, fucking like, this nigga's crazy. and when he won, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
well, and you remember he goes up there and he's like, well, my brother built a security apparatus that kept us safe, Jeb Bush. And Trump goes, and you could see like he got charged up. That bothered him because the audience was cheering for Jeb. He goes, the World Trade Center came down under your brother. And they were like, what? Like, he blamed him for 9/11. This was nuts.
Yo.
And anyway, so we were like, this is just the best thing ever. And we went to all the viewing parties because they were hosting these viewing parties all over the campus. And we went waving the Trump flag with the hats. Fuck you. Trump's your president. 8 years, bitch.
I can imagine all the like white girl fans. No! Just going crazy, bro. Just losing their shit, man. Because, I'm telling y'all, man, Boston is way different, right? Like I could only imagine what it's like now with like the 99 genders and fucking them being super politically correct over there. Like it's bad now. It's way worse. So
after he won the election, were people still trying to fight you at school after that?
Yeah, it got worse. I mean, so me and my buddy the day after, we went to the Harvard yard or whatever, the Harvard common area to troll. We brought the flag, we brought the hats.
Dude, we won.
Literally.
Oh, y'all went to Harvard Square?
Yeah.
The red line.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you know. Big mistake.
Okay, let me paint a picture for you. This area is like huge. Like this is where tourists come, college students. It's huge, and it's a big T stop. Like the T is the train for Boston, right? It goes all through the city. So like that's a huge area. So like, yo, y'all are crazy for that.
I can only imagine Nick and his boy like, fuck you, dude, we won, motherfuckers.
Did y'all have like the Patriot hats on and shit?
Oh yeah, we had the MAGA hat, the flags, the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, you want your ass shirts. You want your ass beat, bro.
Niggas turned that shit to the Boston Tea Party. It's back. It's back. All right, sorry.
We almost got our asses kicked, you know, because we took the red line to get over there. Yeah. And somebody ran by and snatched my buddy's hat. People were heckling us. We jump on the tee, and a bunch of homeless guys come up, and they're like, hey, you know, we're going to beat the fuck out of you at the next stop. And we're like, we got to get out of here. We jump off the train, not even at our stop, out of the frying pan into the fire. There's like a whole gang of black guys there. They're like, yo.
Did y'all get off at like Roxbury?
I don't remember. Okay. You know, so many years ago, but it wasn't our stop. You know, so we're like, we just got to get out of here. This guy's like got a fucking glass bottle. So we jump off the thing. And this group of black kids, they start, yo, fuck that hat, bro. Yo, fuck me. And they start losing their minds.
Everyone's pissed.
Oh, yeah, rage. You know, so we just booked it. We just got out of Dodge.
Yeah, my niggas out there. Yo, that's crazy. Like,
that's my boys, man.
They went out there, they just like said, you know what? Fuck it, we won it. We go rub it in the salt. We put the salt in the wounds, baby.
My boy said red flag.
Yeah.
Coming at you. Them niggas, man.
Yo, man.
It's a wrong neighborhood.
Oh, shit. Okay. So speaking of which, so Trump wins, right? Y'all go on the trolling thing. Real quick, I got the video here. You guys want to know why Trump won that? Because just to bring it back, long story short, this woman came out, accused Trump of raping her back in like 96 or some bullshit like that. This E. Carroll lady, she's an author, writes a book about, you know, her life, and then most importantly, writes about her getting raped by Trump. So this, I don't know if y'all know this. So this is what happened with the story. She releases an excerpt from the book to a newspaper, and it goes crazy, right? Like that's the first time the allegations are made out publicly, etc. It goes crazy. So she says, "Okay, I'm going to put this in my book, and I'm going to go on a tour." Then she launches a civil lawsuit. So it's like, bro, you're going to launch a lawsuit. You're going to put the excerpt out from your book of one of the most traumatic times in your life to sell a book, and you're telling me that it's not on some bullshit? Like, come on, man. So right here, guys, so this is a deposition, right? Because it's a civil case, so Trump cannot assert the Fifth Amendment privilege of staying silent. He has to answer the questions. So he's there. They're asking him questions. This part is hilarious. Here, just hit play.
When you said in that video that Ms. Leeds would not be your first choice, you were referring to her physical looks, correct?
Just the overall. I look at her, I see her, I hear what she says. Whatever. You wouldn't be a choice of mine either, to be honest with you. I hope you're not insulted. I would not, under any circumstances, have any interest in you. I'm honest when I say it. I would not have any interest in.
The video.
Bro. And just so y'all know, that's a lawyer asking me these questions. He's basically saying, I would have smashed her and I would have smashed you either. Like, what the fuck? You know, and I think just the fact that he didn't care, his lawyer he didn't give a fuck about the deposition. That's why he lost. Because just so you guys know, civil cases, a preponderance of the evidence. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily guilty or whatever. They just have to prove that you're culpable to a degree. 51% versus 49%. So he didn't give a shit. It was October 19th of 2022. He probably had some bitches he was fucking. He didn't give a shit about that deposition. He knew it was bullshit.
It was a joke, man.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? 2024 election. Who are you going to vote for? Who do you think the best candidate is? Who do you think sucks? Just give us your take.
Well, I haven't endorsed anybody yet. I mean, you know, I was a part of the Yay 24 team for a minute.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. And at the same time, I also wasn't in love with Trump's announcement speech. I was actually very critical of the Trump announcement. Zerka gave me a real hard time about that. You know, he announced back in November.
Canadian. Who cares what he thinks?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't even vote.
Focus on Trudeau.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't like the announcement. I told him as much. I mean, we had dinner at Mar-a-Lago. I said, like, hey, man, I mean, bring the heat? Like, we want the old Trump back. And anyway, I think I'll most likely support him. I think he's by far and away the best candidate. I don't like anybody else. I mean, if it's not him, I'm not going to vote. I'm not obviously going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for Ron DeSantis. The reason I won't vote for DeSantis, I mean, maybe we'll get more into it on Rumble. Well, I mean, this guy, every criticism that I have about Trump, it's like 10 times with DeSantis. Because, you know, I knew guys in the Trump administration. I knew a lot of guys who worked in the Trump administration. And the big gripe that everybody had was that Trump gets in, and who staffs the White House? It's the RNC. The RNC that fought him throughout the nomination process, throughout the primary, even the general. I mean, we could get into it, but they were the ones that hired everybody, the 4,000 or 5,000 people that fill up the Trump admin. They picked them. So all the worst people in the world. And there was this running gag. All the true believers that were there from the beginning, stood by Trump through the Muslim ban stuff, everything else. The joke was, if you worked on the Trump campaign, it would actually count against you getting a job in the White House, because they were hiring like the worst people ever. And anyway, so that was one of the big problems, is hiring. Trump's going to hire all the wrong people. The other thing is that they said that Trump was insufficiently America first. He wound up doing all these deals for that country over there, recognize their sovereignty over Golan Heights, move the embassy, called the IRGC terrorists. He's doing backdoor regime change in Iran, all these kinds of things. And anyway, both of those things that you could say about Trump are doubly true of DeSantis. I mean, if anything, the lobby that we criticize Trump for being so in bed with, they back DeSantis way more. And the same thing is true of the hiring. If Trump made those mistakes back then, I think he's less likely to make them this time around. DeSantis, I know the people that are going to be staffing the DeSantis White House. I mean, I literally personally know them. They're worse than the Trump people. So, I mean, that in addition to the fact that, what country did he visit before his announcement? 1 month before his announcement, he flies out there, talks to all the top donors, basically got their blessing. And you could go into it. I mean, he was a congressman. He was a governor. The only foreign trips he took as a congressman and as a governor, but all the same country.
Can I argue that maybe he's just playing a part to, become president, maybe?
I mean, that's certainly possible. I think Trump did the same thing.
But you know what? Why I like him because whatever he says, he does. But for the most part, if someone's going to be in office, well, if they say they're going to do something, they should do it.
He did a good job in Florida.
Yeah, that's what I can do.
Florida
was, even during those bear bug times, it was open.
Yeah,
thanks to him.
Compared to other states.
I mean, I like him, man. I like him, but
I understand what you're saying, because you're right. I mean, he is a good governor. He says a lot of the right things. The thing is about Trump is that Trump is truly an outsider. Like, he really is fundamentally different than the rest of them. DeSantis,
agreed.
I apply more scrutiny because he's a true politician. And to your point, I look at the people that are backing him. And the people that are backing him who flipped from Trump to him, like, for example, Ken Griffin from Citadel. Ken Griffin's one of the big GOP donors, big Wall Street guy. He kind of leads that Wall Street donor block. He flipped his support from Trump to DeSantis in his reasoning. He said that, well, DeSantis isn't going to rock the boat. DeSantis is going to make sure that we get our so-called, prosperity, cut the taxes. It's not going to rock the boat, not going to do the culture war stuff.
Yeah.
And that signals to me that DeSantis is just another one of these establishment guys who's going to, like every Republican, going to cut the taxes, cut the spending in narrow, limited, not the military ever, by the way, and not DHS and never that, but it'll cut non-defense discretionary spending. And the rest of everything else will go on basically unaffected. So fundamentally, I just don't believe him. I think he's going to be totally bought and paid for by Wall Street, by these foreign countries. And, he has a luxury of being conservative in a state like Florida. I don't think he's going to have that luxury in the general election or in the White House.
Okay. Fair enough. What are your thoughts on the new Trump charges, the new federal charges that just came against him?
Well, it's bad. And, the thing is, I talked about this a lot on my show, and I look at these guys.
You talked about it a lot.
Yeah. We talked about it on that stream with Sneeko and Zerka. The thing is, I mean, if you look at the letter of the law, if you look at the statute, I think he's guilty. And I've said that. The issue with it is not, well, he's innocent or not guilty. The issue is that it's abuse of their discretionary power.
Yeah.
The question is, should a prosecutor go after a former president for a clerical issue, for classified documents? It's kind of BS.
Yeah.
That being said, he violated the statute. Like, you read the statute, you read the complaint against him, it's all right there.
Yeah.
So I think he's in serious trouble. And I think, and we talked about it just before the show, I think his best bet is drag it out as long as possible, pardon himself when he becomes the president.
Yeah. And that's the only the other big thing I like about DeSantis is that if he gets elected and Trump loses, I know he's going to pardon Trump.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, just to summarize it for some of you guys that might not be aware of the federal case, the New York case I'm not worried about. That's bullshit. It's basically they're hitting them with falsifying business records. It's a BS charge. But the federal one, the reason why I'm worried is because I've done, the 18 U.S.C. 793E charge before. It's an espionage charge. There's two things that I'm worried about. Number one, documents don't necessarily have to be classified to get hit with that charge. If it's national defense information, they can hit him with it, which he had that, right? Which is basically information that comes from the military. Number two, the indictment, if you guys read it, basically there's a lot of cooperators and informants in it, right? When one of them, they have a sound excerpt, he tells the lady in it, oh, this is secret stuff. Probably shouldn't be showing you this. I could have classified it when I was president, but I didn't. That immediately defeats the defense that he was going to use, which is, I was president, I could have declassified this stuff. And let's say he did declassify the stuff. It doesn't matter. National defense information doesn't have to be classified. You can get hit with the espionage charge for just having it. So my thing is, they obviously indicted him knowing that they're going to win, and they have 37 counts on him for it. And then there's another 13 that they didn't even charge him with because it's so classified that they didn't even want to have to, declassify so that it can be used in evidence. So they're going at him like this because they know that they can get him. Should they have charged him? No. But of course, the FBI, right, had a fucking hard on for him or whatever. So it is what it is. And my other concern too is that if you guys read the indictment, the lawyer, they said that they have lawyer notes memorialized. Why is this a problem? Well, a lawyer and his relationship with his client is considered privilege. You can't use that information. So if I go to let's say Nick is my lawyer and I rob the bank and I say, I robbed that bank, man, we got it. Yeah. That's privilege. You can't go to the feds. But if I get involved in the crime, right, as his lawyer, now that privilege is gone. So what ended up happening, guys, is that the lawyer, right, moved some documents out of the boxes for Trump and went to the FBI with those documents saying, here we go. The FBI made him sign a letter. Are these all the documents? Yes, it is. Unbeknown to him, Trump's aide, Natua, right, moved some of those documents. So the FBI gets the documents from the lawyers. They're like, wait, there's 100 missing. What the fuck? That's why they did the search warrant in August of last year, recover those 100 documents, and then they went back to lawyers. We got you guys by the balls. You signed this document saying we have everything. We don't. Y'all lied to us. Then, okay, we'll cooperate. Bam. That's how they have the memorialized notes. So that tells me not only the lawyers are going to testify against them, but the people at Mar-a-Lago that saw the documents in the first place to help them write their search warrant, all that shit. So I agree with you. The only way that he's going to beat this is he's got to drag it out to the election, either win and pardon himself or one of the other presidents pardons him. You think RFK would pardon him?
Yeah, I think he would, but I just don't think RFK has any chance. I think Biden's got it locked up on the Dem side. On
the low, I like RFK a lot. I've been watching his interviews. He's against Big Pharma, which I like. He's pretty based. He knows that there was a conspiracy to kill his uncle, which we'll talk about on Rumble. And it wasn't just the mafia. And yeah, he's not a typical Democrat, but yeah, I agree with you. There's no way he's fucking winning, bro.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing. I don't think he's as good as everybody says. I like what you like, which is that he talks about, I don't know how much we could say on YouTube, but he does talk about Big Pharma and he talks about these COVID interventions.
Yeah.
I can't see a whole lot more, though, that I like. I mean, I think at one point he was talking about like fining people that deny climate change and these kinds of things. Very socially liberal. At the end of the day, he is a Democrat. I mean, I get the appeal. He's intelligent. He's well-spoken. He's anti-establishment.
His voice is going to piss a lot of people off, too.
That, too.
You have to get, if you guys ever listen to him talk, he has like a condition that like makes his voice sound very shaky or whatever. And as a president of the United States, image matters a lot. And they're going to be like, oh, well, you sound weird or whatever. But he's very smart, but like it takes a while to, it's like whiskey. It grows on you. You got to drink more of it, I guess, to get used to it. But yeah, and then the other thing too is that he wants to go back to like the United States being like the moral authority. I don't think we should be intervening in other countries, right? Because then fucking bullshit. But yeah, sorry, you had anything else with that?
Yeah, no, just I'm not as gung ho. Like I said, I like the things you like, but I think people are a little too enthusiastic for him. We need to demand, in other words, like I think he represents this strain of compromise between the far right and far left that isn't super useful. He reminds me of like a Glenn Greenwald or like a Tulsi Gabbard type. And a lot of these people, what they have in common is they'll criticize a big pharma.
No, you're right. That's probably one of the most accurate summarizations I've seen of like where he stands.
Yeah, and I think that it's overstated how valuable that is, because the premise of this show and shows like it is that we really need a real return to tradition. Like when you talk about masculinity and women being submissive and marriage and reverting to religions, that seems to be everybody's doing that. That is what civilization needs. It needs strength, order, tradition, masculinity. And what I see these guys bringing forward is basically like liberalism, but less corrupt. They're like, we want to go back to like 90s liberalism. And it's like 90s liberalism brought us today's liberalism, you know, and like, it's still liberal. So to me, it's just not good enough. And it's a step in the right direction, but I don't think that we should settle for that. It's a form of appeasement. We need a real right-wing reactionary movement.
Okay. Feminism. give us your takes on it. Obviously, we're fairly critical on that over here on this side, but I'd like to get your take on feminism in general.
I'm totally anti-feminist. I mean, some people even say I'm like anti-woman.
I don't blame you. What do you think? What do you think feminism got? What are some of the biggest fuck ups with feminism in your opinion?
Oh, all of it. I mean, because here's the thing: men and women are not the same, and so this feminist idea that there's any degree of equality. I don't think equality exists. I think that you should treat people with dignity and respect. That's like a precise thing that I would agree with. You should be respectful. You should treat people with dignity. You should be kind, courteous, considerate. But equality does not exist in nature. Equality exists in a conceptual way. You know, that's why we have to enforce it everywhere all the time through these administrative fiat decisions. You know, like when we talk about any disparity, any inequality, we always have to go in with a bureaucrat to rectify that, because it doesn't actually naturally occur. And so I think equality between religions, ages, genders, sex, any individual doesn't exist. Men and women are fundamentally different. Fundamentally. Not like women are, they just have different genitals and longer hair. No, they're fundamentally different. Their brains are different. Their bones are different. Their bodies are different. We should treat them different. Society should treat them different. So the idea that they would have the equality with men is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they're not equal, essentially, why would they be equal under the law or something?
They don't even want equality.
They don't.
Because if you look at modern women now, what do they complain about? Guys don't hold doors open. They don't pay for dates. They're not strong. They're not leaders. Well, that assumes inequality, which is what you guys have been fighting against all this time, right? So it's I always laugh because feminists want equality when it suits them, but they don't want it when it does. Basically, they want equality of outcome. They don't want equality of effort, is what a lot of them want.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we gave them the vote and we gave them the right to work and all these things. Now, do you see a lot of women that are super duper engaged with politics? And even these like career women, it's like fake careers, in my opinion, most of the time.
No, that's a fact. That's not even bro. The top least paying jobs that aren't needed for infrastructure are female dominated. That's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. Women don't want it because it's not their role. I mean, women are literally biologically designed to have children. People ridicule that and mock that. They say, oh, you want the women barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. You think they're baby machines. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's what they're made to do. That's what their hormones are about. That's what their brains are about. I mean, people even say their ethics are different because their ethics are based on caregiving. I mean, they're biologically designed to nurture and care for a baby growing in their body and then take care of them after they're outside. So their disposition, their temperament, their everything is all based around that. And as a consequence, that's why most women happen to then not be fulfilled. That you're going to see, it's going to be devastating in this century. All these women that were lied to about feminism that are going to turn 30, 35, 40, no eggs, no husband, no family, ugly.
No eggs.
Going to be millions of them, and they're going to be miserable, and they're going to take it out on us. I mean, they're going to be, God help us, and it's starting to happen. Like they're getting pushed off this cliff here. I look around, and you know what it is? It's these things that people would sort of, they'd say, oh my gosh, that's so extreme. Women shouldn't be getting educated, man. They shouldn't be going to college. There's a 1-to-1 correlation with women getting educated in college and deferring child rearing. In fact, it's a higher correlation between deferring childbearing for women with education than with IQ. In other words, it's not women being intelligent. It's women going to school for all these years, which is why they put it off.
Yeah.
And it's them putting it off. I mean, and we could go really into it, but fundamentally, is the last thing I'll say, fundamentally, the problem is we have gotten away from what is morally right and what is natural. The moral law and the natural law. And what I mean by that is the moral law says that sex is only moral within marriage. And the natural law says that, well, we start to feel like we want to reproduce in our adolescent years. Women have a biological clock. Society should be ordered around these two fundamental facts. Get kids married, get them married young, get them having kids. When you start to introduce this, they got to wait until they're 25. They got to wait until they're 30, and they got to have dating experience, and they got to go to college, and we got to go through the rigmarole. This is what's producing the society with all these things that just don't work or make sense. Hookup culture, pornography, incels, players, this notion about chads getting all the sex and everyone else hung out to dry. In a Catholic society, young women are getting married off. They're having kids. This is healthy for them. That keeps them young, actually. The hormones when they have kids keeps them young. The men are having kids. The fertility rate stays high. The society stays
Kids
stable.
don't come out with autism.
Exactly. And the high mutational load that's associated with deferring childhood. Like, that is just how the society should be. We got to radically rethink gender, sex, all these things in the society.
Question for you. Do you think women should vote?
No, absolutely not.
What? Okay, so I think women should vote, but a female's vote should be half of a man's vote because of selective service. Why do you think they shouldn't vote?
Because I don't believe in individualism. I don't think that we have a society of individuals. I think we have a society of families. I think there's a man, a woman, and a child. Children shouldn't vote. Women shouldn't vote. I think the vote should go to the household, and the vote should go to the leader of the household, which is the father, the male, the husband. But I also think that very, very few people should vote. You know, the intention was never to have everybody
not
voting.
all men should vote either.
No.
You're you know what? That's a good point. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Right? Because, you know, we have this idea that, well, voting's your God-given right. It's like, why? What discernment does like a 19-year-old student who works a retail job, what discernment do they have about the society? You know, a landlord knows infinitely more about how the country works than a 19-year-old student.
Good
actually.
point.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have a business. You guys have a business here. You had to put the studio together. You know how this stuff works. Again, you are given some discernment about how society works. These women that are on OnlyFans and that are fucking around, they don't know shit.
Facts. It's funny. Just to add to your point as well, when you say the 19-year-old, for example, or the woman on OnlyFans, what are they influenced by? TikTok, social media. So you're right. Their vote's kind of like accounted for already because of the agenda. But let me ask you this, Nick. So family, right, is very important. And I believe that is true. So if his family is very important, head of the family is a man. So in your opinion, which gender would be, I want to say, more responsible for women being how they are now?
That's always the question. And it's a very good question. I think, though, that when you ask men versus women, it obfuscates another dimension to it, which is that there's not just a power imbalance between men and women, there's a power imbalance between men. And so I think that the role of media cannot be understated, because it was like these activist groups and the media, and it was all men, of course, but they are the ones that put the women out as the shock troops. And it's interesting because when you look at these voting groups that are the most liberal, who are the most liberal Democrat voting groups? It's ethnic and racial minorities, women, and young people. When the CIA does a color revolution in another country and they want to topple a nationalist government, what are the three groups they go after? Who do they give the money to? When you see, right? When you say the Maidan, when you see these things, the Arab Spring, it's a religious and ethnic, racial minorities, it's the women, it's the students, because there's most influenceable.
Blacks.
I didn't want to say it. You can say it
for you. I said it for you. Yeah.
I appreciate it
for you, man.
And for all the for all the brothers out there, whatever, the Democrats aren't going to save you. Like, they're really not, bro. And they've had the black vote for decades.
They use it as a tool to get your vote, but ultimately they don't care about you.
They don't give a fuck about black people, bro.
They don't care, bro.
Like, Biden, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like, no, bro. It's psyop. Sorry,
you are a
Nick.
tool.
Yeah, well, it's totally true. And you even get into like, you know, white people are blamed for so much of the black people's problems in the country. If you really go back and we want to name names, we want to go into the textbook, the lore. I mean, you're going to find some people that look white. You're going to find some people that, you know, not exactly. Not quite.
All right, guys, we're going to get into that Rumble.
All right, Rumble.
All right, we got to talk about that on Rumble.
Dancing on the line.
We're fine. We got some more.
Start moving over, guys.
Legendary.
Start moving over.
More that lore on Rumble.
Yes.
No, sorry. Continue on, Nick.
So,
Nigga said lore like Lord of the Rings. The lore.
Well, you talk about that too in the book. Well, the book mentions them boys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But sorry. We'll continue on.
So as far as who's to blame, you know, of course it's the men, because the men unleash the women, but it's specific men. Because I don't think any of these guys who are young, you know, like boomers understood. Like, my father is a man. You know, my father got it. He was born in 1962, so last gasp of the boomers. And he's a man. He got it. He wasn't, you know, under any illusions about feminism. But it's this persistent drumbeat from the media and from these activists, particular men, saying women need rights, women got to go out there, free love, that kind of thing.
And it's
so
with the influence too. It's the famous dudes that are doing this bullshit a lot of the times.
And pushing it on us.
Yeah, you're a really good point, bro. Yeah, because like those guys don't represent the majority.
They don't.
They represent a minority, but the problem is that they got a majority of the influence.
Yes.
And you know, now I think about this shit. See, I'm really glad that when we have high IQ guests, because it helps me think. Why did Andrew Tate blow up? Think about that for a second. The reason why Andrew Tate blew up wasn't because we got a bunch of feminized men that want female equality and all this other bullshit. No, it was a bunch of guys that were suppressed that couldn't fucking say what the hell was really on their mind. They knew feminism was bullshit. They knew that these women were out of order. They knew that all this shit was fucked up and affirmative action and women getting hired for jobs that they don't necessarily qualify for, don't deserve, getting hired over men that are superior to them. They knew it was all bullshit. So what happened? Andrew Tate says, hey, the fuck? Stop being a part of the matrix, blah, blah. Everyone goes crazy because he's been saying what everyone's thinking. Trump, why did he win? There was a silent majority that thought, you know what? Fuck this shit. Yeah, America first. This is bullshit. What's up with all these feminists, all these weird libtards? But it's the, you know, the minority of men that have the influence that are the feminists that with the fucking pink hair marching like, yeah, let's go on a slow walk with y'all. But the rest of the guys are like, this is bullshit. But they shut up because they don't want to lose their job.
Yeah. Even celebrity actors, some of our, for example, The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening to people that are the sign of masculinity turn into like freaking women?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
bro.
a lot of the most influential actors,
wearing dresses,
musicians, etc. They're liberals, and then that's what everyone thinks it is. But the reality is, it's not. Like, why did we blow up? Why did Andrew Tate blow up? Why are you popular? Even though you've been canceled everywhere, you got an army behind you. Why? Because they're tired of the fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah, there's an appetite for it.
Yeah,
plain and simple. And it's right. You look at these actors. I used to say, and I say this on my show, like my favorite genre of movie or TV show, and I think it's true of everybody. It's the same movie every time, no matter who the actor is, and no matter what the kind of movie it is. It's like there's an old white guy, and he's the fucking best at everything. And they throw everything at him, and he solves it. That's 24. That's House of Cards. That's Breaking Bad. That's every show.
Walter White, Kiefer Sutherland.
It's Mad Men.
Rocky,
it's Drive.
Rocky
it's,
Balboa.
It's everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Walter White.
Clint Eastwood. Yeah. John Wayne. It's a white guy.
No, Mickey was one of them. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, my bad.
Or any man for that matter.
Yeah.
But there's a guy, and it's a father figure, but it's a father archetype. And that's what people are longing for. And that's why they look at it. They seek that out in an Andrew Tate or, you know, us or anybody else.
Yeah. Some chats here?
Before I read the chats, as far as women go on, you know, the family unit, etc. What's your response to all the haters that call you an incel?
Well, I mean, I call myself an incel, so I don't really help my case there. But, you know, here's the thing about that. You know, I am a virgin. I'm waiting until marriage. I'm Catholic. I believe it's a mortal sin to have sex.
Wait a minute. You weren't joking?
No. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't know?
No, I thought it was a joke.
No, are you serious, man?
Okay.
I'm serious.
Shout out to you, man.
And, you know, and I'm not trying to hide behind the morality. I mean, to an extent, I mean, for me, it's just never been about sex for me. And what I try to tell young guys is, look, there's more to life than sex. And even I would say the marriage, because there's this pernicious thing that goes on where I think there's a lot of guys out there that really believe that their problem is they don't have a girlfriend. Like there's so many guys that are miserable, like spiritually crushed. And in their mind, and this is why you see them sad posting like bitches on Twitter or TikTok, you know, I don't have a girlfriend. I want cuddles, whatever.
Yeah, it's
like
gay.
this therapeutic thing. And what it is, though, what I noticed is it's like a mommy issue thing. They want a woman to run their finger through their hair and say it's going to be okay. They want a mommy. And I'm here to tell the young guys, like, you got to be a fucking man. Let go of your mom. Okay. You got to leave the coop. You don't need another mom. You don't need to marry your mom to take care of you. Because what I see happen to these guys is they find their girlfriend. In some cases, they get married and they turn into these like schlub, miserable people. I tell guys, focus on yourself. Be happy as an independent man. Get your skill. Make your money. Get an education. And this happens for a different age for everybody. But you got to really become a man first. Then you get married. Then you get your girlfriend, whatever. And that's kind of what I've been on for a long time. I mean, you know, I've really survived under kind of the worst circumstances ever, being banned from banks and every social media. And I tell people, would I have been able to do this if I was worried about picking up chicks?
Good point.
You know, like if I'm 18
Good point.
and I'm doing a green screen show in my mom's basement talking about what I talk about for 100 people, and I go to a bar and say, hey, you know, what's going on? And they say, what do you do? I'm like, well, I host this, racist show, and my parents basically like, how's that going to go?
What power? What the fuck, Chris? Bro, this is good, Chris. Yo, I will say this, right? Because when I said that I was going to bring you on the show, like some people out there were like, why are you bringing Nick on a dating podcast, bro? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is a dating podcast. She's a virgin. Fuck you guys. This isn't a show about just getting laid and getting chicks. This show about becoming a better man, being fucking smart, knowing what the hell's going on in the world around you, not being a moron. And here's the thing. I would argue, bro, with your fame and your clout, you're not really an incel. You go get a bitch now if you wanted to, right? You know, some fucking tradcon whore's gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't like them boys either. Just fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they would probably smash you. So I would argue you're choosing to be celibate at this point. Maybe at first it was a joke, like, oh yeah, I'm an incel. Yeah. But at this point, bro, you famous as fuck. You can fuck some bitch.
I can appreciate your point of view because once again, like,
and he's doing it for religious reasons. So I can respect that too.
Looking back at my life,
fuck you haters,
and being Christian as well. If I can go back in time, I'll prefer not to get into it because, hey man, you start smashing girls, bro, get into that path. It's a path of like infinite, unnecessary, like
especially
turmoil because it never ends. It's like a thirst of like, all right, I smash, I busted a nut. All right, where's the next one? It never ends. So I think personally speaking, like your point of view is good because you're for one, you're an individual that knows what they want, and two, you're not going to be or succumb to like the lust of like women, which I think is really good. But once again, I'm already too far gone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it like that's a great message for the guys. Like, yo, don't focus on women, focus on yourself. Yeah. And yeah, you're right, bro. Getting canceled on everything, being under investigation by the FBI, getting on a no fucking flight list, all this shit. Like, bro, that you had to overcome a lot of adversity. I can only imagine if you had to fucking deal with a female.
Actually, any man that has had success had to, on some level, stop chicks. Inventors, scientists, even us on the podcast for a whole year and a half. We didn't really do much. Yeah. Just focus on the podcast. So you're right.
You have to go through to go through a period of not dealing with chicks, man, to like fucking like get your shit together. That's just what it is, man. So I can respect it, and you do it for religious reasons. So fuck the haters, man. Yeah. But we can hit the chats and then we can get into Destiny and Sneeko with his best people.
Yeah. Best friends.
Yeah. And you know what? Shout out to fucking Sneeko, man, because he introduced me to Nick. And that's why he's here now.
I'm not gonna lie, Nick. This is off camera, but it's on camera now. I didn't like you at first.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out.
Probably your skin color.
Do you like me now, though?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Pause.
Okay.
We'll see, though.
That's okay. I like you.
Bro, don't worry about him, man. He's shirtless. All right. Let's get He's got a chain on, nothing else. And some blue pants.
Purple.
The most wanted man in America, the Nicholas J. Fuentes. This is going to be the best content. So unfortunately, we can't be on YouTube. Christ is King and Christian Futurism is taking over WFNF. Shout out to you, bro. Like I said before, we brought out so many guys that are canceled, bro. They get canceled, come over to FNF, man. We're not bitch ass niggas. We'll have y'all. All right, I'm sure they taught you guys to be 15 minutes early to any event in the Fed. Okay. Johnny Olis goes, I had meat and rice for dinner today. All right, appreciate that.
Nice.
Random. The boomer generation's consequences have been a disaster for the human race. All right, fair.
Both in.
It goes, for the cause, for the boys, thank you for all the knowledge. God bless you all. Jesus Christ is King.
That
and
is
also,
true.
real quick, want to stop the show, I'll tell y'all this. Cozy.tv/Nick. Go support him over there, guys. That's his website because they ban him off everything else. So cozy.tv/Nick. Link is below. And I also got his Telegram in there too. So go support him over there because they literally kicked you off everything.
Yeah, literally banned from everything.
Can you tell the audience why you were banned?
Well,
Rumble. Sorry. Come on, Rumble, guys. In a sec.
Right.
Can't just why we were banned on platforms right now. Tell us right now.
Find out on Rumble, guys.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Rumble.
Coming soon. Okay, there you go.
No, I'm just kidding. Everybody always everyone's always catching hell because they don't give this guy any pushback. Be the one pod to give him a little because they don't give this guy any put. I mean,
well, if there's an issue, we will discuss it. But right now, there's nothing that came up. That was
it's kind of been right about a lot of the things here, bro. Why you all mad, bro?
Yeah, nothing's wrong here.
You almost have 1.5 million subs, and you have this guy on. You have balls of steel, my friend. Shout out to Martin, aka ex-Captain Teabag. Hey, man, it is what it is, bro. Yeah, we'll bring people on that other people are way too scared to bring on, man. And like I said before, he says a lot of things. I agree with a lot of things that Nick says. Do I agree with everything? No, but I think he's smart, and y'all need to hear his point of view. And yeah, I like the guy. Various Slayers. Have a great day, gentlemen. Appreciate that.
Cody.
Myron, I was watching a credit card podcast from the other day and was wondering if you could explain the difference between benefits of doing a balance transfer for investments versus taking out a loan or using the credit card directly. No, I was talking about basically using a credit card where you can practice credit card arbitrage. Like Bank of America, one of their cashback cards will let you transfer your balance into your checking account, and then you can use that to invest.
There's videos on YouTube where you can find out precisely how to do it with different companies.
Yeah, search God damn it.
Credit card arbitrage.
Yeah, but there's a YouTuber that's really good at it. I can't remember his name.
Is he Asian?
No, black dude.
Oh, well, that makes sense if he's Asian.
God damn it, I'll remember it. That's dope. Y'all have him on a platform to speak. Now, can we get Dr. Umar Johnson on here too? You know what, bro? Stop the show. Go ahead, take it away. Because we
okay.
y'all want to sit here and say, y'all only bring on like people that are like far right, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I happened to speak to Dr. Umar Johnson to come on the podcast. And a friend of mine made that connection for us. Shout out to SB, Q's brother. However, he did not respond or didn't want to, I guess, proceed because I think you were coming.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but whatever the case is, he didn't show up or didn't.
He's scared of Nick, guys. He's fucking scared of Nick. That's what it is.
I don't know.
But I'll say he's scared of Nick.
But ultimately, it would be awesome to have him and you here for a debate.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah. I'm scared. Yo, I'm willing to, you guys out here that are like, that are pro, you liberals, basically, is what I'll just say. Y'all that want to come on here and debate us or Nick or somebody else, whatever, we'll make it happen. We're not scared. We'll have it.
We made the offer, but
yeah,
he
was scared, bro. That's what it is, man. Let's see here. Albo Ace, pretty sad how a certain set twins did that to you guys after you mentioned multiple times how you would love to have them on the pod. Less respect for them. Yeah, I mean, again, whenever they're wrong, even their own comment section was shitting on them. Yeah,
it says so much about their opinion. And they were definitely wrong. Just saying.
Yeah, they were talking about
out of here, nigga.
The Hodge twins basically took
what the fuck you want to do, nigga?
I told them, yo, I could debate y'all on that if you guys want. I don't think they've been on the dating market since the fucking 90s.
Shut up, Keith.
Yeah, niggas were single when Bill Clinton was getting his dick sucked. For real. The fuck? Yeah, the game has changed, man. Where we at here? Oh, Prince J goes, when y'all get banned, I'm going to laugh. Don't cry when it happens. What the fuck, man? Fuck you, Prince, you bitch ass nigga. Sup, Grapes. Shout out to Myron Fresh and the big dog Nicholas J. Fuentes. America first is inevitable. Absolutely. And then ask Nick how he feels about Myron Fresh dating multiple white women back to back. That'll be on Rumble. This is the same guy who went bomb for bashing an Italian girl for having what?
A black boyfriend. Hold on. Can you tell me what's the issue? Me banging snow bunnies?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like race mixing.
What did you say?
I don't like race mixing.
Yeah, don't like.
I think it's wrong.
Say that one more time.
No swirls, man.
No swirls, Fresh.
What, are you getting mad?
Say that one more time.
What? I don't like race mixing?
Good boy. Seriously, bro. It's okay. It doesn't matter. That's his opinion. You know.
Hey,
it's
man.
I'm gonna do what I do. But I get it.
I mean,
what? I get it too. I mean.
Yo, L Fresh as usual. All right, let's go. L Fresh. That's an L, man. I thought you were gonna say something funny.
That was funny.
It wasn't. Mark, I see what you did. The guests on the show past week and the topics on FedEx led us to this interview. I love this as a Myron, bro. W, bro, much respect. Yeah, hopefully we don't get canceled. And then we got here, guys, get ready because we're gonna move over to Rumble here pretty soon. Love your work, W Fresh Fit Gang. Get the likes up. Cool.
Yes, please.
And then, guys, from this point forward, because we already got about almost 10,000 y'all in here. We're going to go 50 and up here because I want to make sure that we get through the entire interview. We still got a lot to talk about here. Shout out to Quintessential for gifting 40 YouTube memberships. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much. And then we got here. And then, guys, just so y'all know, every single chat that comes through is going to be shown on screen. However, from this point forward, I'm only going to read 50 and up because, like I said before, we got a lot to cover. Nick Fuentes, future monarch. America Christian autocratic rule is inevitable. Okay? And then we got AB goes, Trump got him because he is a man of the people. I'm in the way, not because he memed his way in. He genuinely cares about this country. That's what we all felt. Kaylee McAney, Trump was not an idiot with admin team. Okay.
Right, cool.
And then we got here, Yvette Simonis. Why in the world are you, Nick and Fresh, believing in the election process? The Dems are going to steal it again, and the conservatives will be too soft to do anything about it. You have anything you want to say to that, Nick?
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying that on my show for a long time. I think it's actually unlikely Trump's going to win because I think they rigged it in 20. I think they rigged it in 22. and most likely they're going to rig it in 24.
I agree.
Yeah. So now I don't think that it's impossible to overcome, though. I think that Trump can't overcome it.
I don't think there's any way Biden can win, though. There's no way. What is he, 30% approval rating right now?
I mean,
Somewhere
I feel
around
like if he could win in 2020, they could rig it in 24 and do it. 70-some million
Can
votes.
you agree, since you know politics very well, that on some level they know who's going to win?
Who? The political people?
The people at the top.
The deep state?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say yes, but then again, I think they were totally blindsided by Trump. I think there's still a legitimate process. I think that they have ways of rigging it. I think the mail-in ballots, I mean, that's how they do it. You know, they're literally ballot stuffing, or rather ballot harvesting. So, and I think that in the case of Trump, like, I think there was ballot harvesting in 2016. I think it was happening then too at a lower percentage, and I think they underestimated the Trump turnout. I think they assumed that Clinton was going to win by a landslide, so maybe they didn't pull out all the stops. Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
That's fair.
And then we got here.
Last few here.
Tanner Boyle goes, just here to pay respects to you guys, both for being brave enough to have Nick on and also for speaking out on behalf of modern men. God bless. Appreciate that, my friend. And then we got here, Base Dollar. Nick Fuentes has me stunned. He has given us truth. I need to hear more. Yeah, man. Go check him out on cozy.tv/Nick. That's where you guys can find them because they ban them off everywhere else. So make sure cozy.tv/Nick. We're going to keep that. We're going to put on the screen here for y'all here in a second. Nick is the content. Listen to him. Take his perspective to heart. Our future depends on it. I appreciate that, my friend. So how did you meet Sneeko?
Well, we first met basically on a live stream. Some buddies of mine were super chatting his stream and in his live chat and saying, hey, you got to react to this. Was July or August of last year.
Okay.
So just a year ago. And so a couple of my buddies, they're spamming his live chat. Hey, you got to check him out and watch a few of my videos. And literally that night we were streaming at the same time. They gave him my number, gave him my Discord, and we called. We did a stream and basically became friends on the spot. I think we both recognized I was actually surprised because he's a black guy. I'm thinking he's going to come on and be like, no, what are you talking about this, that?
Wait, isn't he Asian?
He's Haitian and Asian.
Haitian, Asian, and little something else, I think. Hungarian. So he says. I'm Hungarian, right? Yeah. No, but that's okay. I mean, he's a good guy. And so he called in and he's dropping heat. I'm like, whoa, like this guy's totally red pilled. He surprised me.
Yeah.
So we rapidly became friends and we linked up, met for the first time in LA during the A24 back in November, December last year.
What was it like being in the ES campaign? Was it like hard? Was it like a lot of like pressure? How was that?
It was.
And then why did you ultimately leave?
Well, it was wild. I mean, from start to finish, that's all you could really say about it, because this man like doesn't sleep. And I say this not saying that he has mental illness, but manic is the right way to describe it. And not saying he's like manic depressive, but meaning like just frenetic, frenzied, like wakes up. I remember there was one day we worked like 18 hours, literally got to the office, worked 18 hours. He drops me off at my hotel and he goes, how much you need to sleep? I'm like, I don't know, 5-6 hours. He goes, okay, I'll call you in 6 hours. And then did. And then literally my alarm goes off and he's texting me. And that was the pace for like months. And he's a perfectionist. That's the other thing. He's a big believer in the hoodies, the shoes. He wants to do it 100 times. He wants to see 100 colorways, 100 variations, 100. And he's like that with the political stuff. So some of these messages we're writing about Brittany Griner and some of these other things, we literally did it 100 times, 100 different ways, opposite ways. You know, he would call and say, well, I want it written like a prayer. Write it like a prayer. Okay, now I want it written like a joke. Okay, now it's too funny. Make it more serious.
Is this like a tweet or something? Or oh, okay. So like y'all are like going over a bunch of different tweets about one topic.
Like one tweet.
Wow.
Literally one tweet. I remember the Brittany Griner, he got banned on Twitter. We put it on Telegram. We spent like 12 hours.
They banned him on Twitter?
Yeah.
For the Brittany Griner thing?
After Alex Jones, they banned him.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
A little touchy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because they definitely misconstrued what he said, and we'll talk about that. So I didn't know he was a perfectionist like that, because I've heard, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, I've heard from like artists that work with him, he'll like he'll do a verse, and then he'll like get up and like start doing designs.
Yes.
And then he'll get up again and do something else, and then he'll get up and do something else. Then he'll come back to the music. Then he'll go back and do something else. He can't stay still. It's just like I got to keep doing something. Be productive at all times.
Yeah, he's a polymath, you know. So we would be towards the later part of it. I mean, he loves hotels. He'd like live in hotel rooms, and he loves the hotel design and everything. And so we'd be in a room. And I remember there was one day we're in a room and he's got the guy that produced Don DeTua is in the corner with the laptop making a song. Okay. And in the other corner is a business manager doing the easy business. And over here you got, I think somebody's doing designs. And then I'm over here on the bench on the laptop writing up the thing. Yeah. And he's sitting there playing a video game. But he's like, then this guy literally, and you know, I've been a fan of his music forever. I've been a fan of his, like a diehard fan since about 2015, 2016.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And I know everybody says he's a genius, and I think that's certainly true about the music. And I was always a little skeptical. What's he like in real life? You know, because I see the interviews and I see the brilliance and I listen to the music and I hear the creativity. But being with him in person, he really does have this creative spark. You can't put your finger on it. You can't describe it. All you can say is it's true, like inspiration, true creative inspiration. And so working with him, we'd be in an office setting or we'd be in the hotel room, and he would go from the design to the business to the politics, playing music. And you notice that in every domain, he's got an insight. In every domain, he's got like an intuitive grasp of whether it's fashion or music, even politics. I was amazed at the stuff that he just got. Like he didn't know the specifics because he's not a political guy. And, you know, so that was some of the stuff we were working on, is kind of getting him doing the crash course on politics. And yet, even though like I do this every day, he had just intuitively grasped concepts that most people, it takes them years to understand about the topics that we'll get into on Rumble, but even anything, just got it. And that's something that you can't teach. That's something you're born with. And that's the guy that does graduation. That's a guy that does the easy 350s. That's a guy that, you know, does what he did in November, which I thought was sort of a masterpiece of its own. So, I mean, it was an honor to be with him, and one of the most inspirational things that happened to me, like, and he talked about that. He said, like, you know, I look at you, he would say to me, as somebody who's going to go out in politics, he sees himself as sort of like a mentor in a sense to people that he's worked with on music or fashion. And so he thought, you know, you're going to take things that you worked with me and take that into politics. And I certainly did. You know, I think it was a true inflection point even in my career, just having that exposure to him in that way. So it was incredible.
And people got fired working with him. One in particular comes to my mind, Milo. What happened there, if you could talk about it?
Well, it was this whole drama back in December 2022. I think it was tail end of November, beginning of December. And honestly, everybody got fired except for me. And I don't say that just because I'm here, but I mean, that's literally, I'll tell you the whole deal. But he sort of brought a team together in November, and we're bringing a lot of people in. And after Alex Jones, like, he fired everybody. And I was the sole political contact basically from around late December until May. And then Milo was brought back in during May. And I had a big problem with that. And we could get into that chapter. But back in November and December, basically Milo got fired for general incompetence. He's also somebody who's not really directionally in line with where Ye was at that time, because, I mean, you remember the stuff Ye was saying. Milo is one of them boys, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
He's one of them people, okay? And so I remember we'd be in the room and Ye would be putting the stuff out there.
So those comments caused a rift between him and Milo.
Well, yeah.
It did. Okay.
And there was this pressure where I was always saying, like, yes, like I'm always saying, yes, you're the genius, you're the master. Let's go in that direction. Because he'd be saying some wild stuff about strategy, about policy. And Milo would always be there, you know, trying to poo-poo that and say, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. This and that. And there was this big,
so you
ugly.
would say, yes, let's find a way versus no, we can't do that.
Basically, yeah. And the thing is, like, my favorite tweet that he ever put out, I put it on my Telegram today. He put out a tweet a few years ago and said, stop setting plays, stop playing chess with life, be as transparent as possible. That's my MO. When I go out there and I say what I say, which people don't like, and even people that agree with me say, that's too far, that's too controversial, people aren't ready. I don't think, I'm not a machinator. I'm not a political guy. Even though I talk about politics, I speak from my heart. I'm passionate. And I think me and Ye were similar in that regard. He wanted to go out there and say it. And the first night I met him, he said something, and I literally thought it was like providential, because this was a crossroads I was in. Milo, because I had known him for a time, he was pushing me all the time. Stop talking about this. Stop saying that. Don't say this on your show. You got to be a guy people can do business with. Which, what does that mean? Money, compromise.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, dude, like, I got to be true to the message. I got to put it out there. I just disagree with you. And the first night I met Ye, and I was in a real crossroads personally, and I wasn't really talking too much. Ye was kind of holding court in this church, and he said something that touched that question in my mind. He said, look, we're like 50 years from a Black Mirror episode, and unless somebody like me goes out and says this, like, it's all over. And I'm not saying verbatim, but that was the gist of it.
Yeah.
And it was like a lightning bolt. I'm like, that's what I needed to hear. That's exactly right.
We're going to hear it on Rumble, what exactly he said specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In other words, there's urgency.
Yeah.
There's urgency. It has weight. Like, our civilization is crumbling.
Yeah.
And we need people who are persuasive and compelling and influential to start to put that message out there. Let people do with it what they will.
Yeah.
Let other people make the compromises. We need to get the truth out there. That's my view. If people want to have their varying degree of self-censorship, that's fine. That's your job. My job is to tell the truth. My job is to be a compelling orator and tell people what's up and start making sense. And everyone in their role can figure out how to work it into their world.
Question for you. I do believe there's truth there. The truth should be told to everybody. But on the same end of that stick, would you say that, like Milo was saying, you know what, in certain cases, if you hold it back here, we can impact more people if you're still relevant? Because right now, he's done for, because it's not even a thing anymore. What if he's more like careful about how he moved about what he said? Would that help at all? Or do you think, or no?
Well, I think there's a point to be made. There's all the difference in the world between being true to yourself and then suicide.
Yeah.
Jumping in. I will say, though, in his case, I don't think it was something that was unrecoverable. And I think that he did a lot to raise the consciousness. Even after the Alex Jones appearance, I'd go to my barber. He's not a right-wing political guy. And he would say, yeah, he's just saying what we're all thinking after that. And, I think there's something to be said about, and even he said this on Alex Jones, about a boldness. He said, we're the SWAT team. I'm the battering ram. I blow the door down. And then Nick comes in with the facts, or so-and-so comes in. But his job was to sort of break the door down on the conversation. And maybe that's just a temperament thing. Maybe that's just like a personal philosophy. I'm a big believer in, like, blow it up, cause disorder, cause chaos, because we're on this trajectory where there's a 0% chance we win. Like, if they have it their way, the status quo marches on, we are all dead. Like, we are all totally screwed. Civilization's over. So my idea is, like, it's like a meteor headed towards Earth, and we got to hit it with the nuclear bomb. We got to hit it with the Armageddon Bruce Willis and knock it off its trajectory. So the goal is more just like disruption. The goal is more just blow it up, light it up, change the conversation, create things that are unpredictable. Because I think that when you start to think like that, there's something to be said for that. And this is the last thing I'll say. But when you start to think like this, like, well, maybe I should just cut around the edges here and trim the corners, it's a very slippery slope. And people make decisions like this every day, what they're going to push and pull on. And when you start to, it's a very tricky thing. And I think a lot of the times people start to let themselves get dragged into this complacency, and they say a lot less than they ever intended to say. So I'm always of the mind that the bias needs to be against the lethargy. The bias needs to be in favor of forward momentum. I lean on the side of Ye going and saying what he did, as opposed to, maybe let's just not. We got to go all out in some cases.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Real quick, you met Trump with Kanye. What was that like, meeting Trump in person?
Well, it's unbelievable, because these are my two heroes.
Yeah.
And I've said that forever. I mean, I'm not like a bandwagoner. Like, Trump is my number one hero. I think he's one of the greatest Americans that ever lived. Same thing with Ye. I mean, he's been a personal hero and inspiration. And so here I am.
Was it weird, like, being on one side to defeat the other?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that was the weirdest part about it, because, maybe under normal circumstances, it'd be a different dynamic. But here I am, across from Donald Trump and Ye. And I'm just like, for the first 30 minutes, I just couldn't believe it. I was just like enamored. But there was a point during the dinner where Ye asked Trump to be his running mate. I mean, he actually asked him that. That wasn't just a joke.
Shit.
he said like, and it was funny because
paint the picture for us. Who's there at that dinner?
Oh, okay. So we pull up to Mar-a-Lago, we go to the patio, and it's so I'm sitting here, you're sitting where Trump was.
Okay.
And here's Ye, and then here's this other guy whose name I forget. And then over here is Karen Giorno, who's this Zio person, political operator,
of course.
Yeah, cha-ching.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the table, and it's about as big as this table, maybe even smaller.
Yeah.
And it's Thanksgiving. It's 2 days before Thanksgiving. It's also, and I told Ye on this on the plane because I'm a little autistic about the dates. I said, it's kind of weird. This is the day Kennedy was killed, November 22nd.
Oh shit.
22.
Okay.
It's also weird the numerology because Donda 2 came out on 2/22/22, February 22nd, 22.
Oh wow.
And then the dinner was 11/22/22. So just kind of weird how the dates lined up.
It's my mom's birthday too.
Mm,
Fucking crazy.
there you go.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about Kennedy as well, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
My dog came to my house that day.
Fuck your dog, nigga. Sorry. Okay. So you're there 11/22/22. So yeah.
Right. So it's 2 days before Thanksgiving, and they had a Thanksgiving special for us.
Oh,
So they give us the menu, but they say we got Thanksgiving turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes, and so we order and everything. And initially, it's funny because I noticed that Trump is trying to do the black voter pitch. It was almost kind of like secondhand embarrassment because it's like you're talking to the number one rock star in the 21st century, and he's telling them like, "Hey, how about these opportunity zones?" And I'm like, "Bro, come on, man!" It's like that Jonah Hill movie. You see that? Those you people. It was like that with the parents. I'm like, bro,
come on, man.
He's not that kind of black person. He's not Larry Elder. And so, and the thing is, Ye is very shy. I don't know if you know this, but it's one of the most endearing things about him because he's a real human being.
Yeah.
As much as he has this ego, which is deserved, and I love.
Yeah.
He's also a little shy, a little anxious, apprehensive. I noticed, which I like because it shows that there's a real guy in there.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he's kind of quiet. I could tell he's maybe a little nervous. He's a little shy, and so he's not really talking. And Trump gives him the iPad and says, "Oh, we have the music here. This iPad controls the music. Pick any one of your songs you like." And Ye puts on Say You Will from 808s.
Okay.
And then he puts on Stronger, I think, because that's his number one most streamed song.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we all start getting more comfortable. Trump starts talking to this guy next to me. And then me and Trump have this long back and forth for I would say 30 or 45 minutes because, Ye's not really talking too much. This other guy's not so interesting. Trump doesn't like Karen because there's history there. And so me and Trump are just going back and forth. We're having this great conversation.
What y'all talk about?
So
if you could.
Yeah, totally. So we talked about Truth Social and Twitter. Elon Musk had just bought Twitter. And he's asking me, what do you think about that? And I'm start rattling off stats and facts, and he's real impressed. And then, we had this big strategy meeting the day before, me, Ye, and this other guy. And I was telling Ye how we're going to beat Trump on the debate stage. And I swear I knew this was going to happen. I knew that Ye was going to tell me to say that to him. And I'm thinking, please don't make me say that. Because that's our strategy. That's our playbook. But, he's so childlike and eager. He just wants to say it. And I'm like, bro, that's our playbook. We can't say that. So he's pressing me. He's like, no, tell me what you were saying the other day. And Trump is like, go ahead, tell me. And I said, Mr. President, I think you're the greatest American that ever lived. I said, I'm just at that time, I'm still 24, I guess. I'm just a 24-year-old guy. I think you're the greatest American. I love you. I got nothing to say to you other than thank you. I'm not here to criticize you. And he says, no, come on, don't be bashful. Tell me. And so I start telling him about DeSantis. I said, you got to attack DeSantis. I said, this guy's a traitor.
Shit. Okay.
I said, and you know what? I said, all these influencers are stabbing you in the back right now. I said, all these Twitter influencers, because this was a couple days after he called DeSantis DeSanctimonious for the first time.
Okay.
And everyone was giving him heat for that.
Yeah.
I said, don't listen to them. I said, you are right. I said, and he deserves that and then some. I said, because you are the reason DeSantis is governor. I said, and the only reason
that's a fact
that he didn't say on the debate stage that he was going to serve his full term is because he's going to challenge you. I said, so your statement and what you said at the rally, I said, I love that. That's what we need to see more of. I said, because you know what? I said, my favorite moment was the first primary debate in 2015, August 15, the Fox News debate. I said, the first question Brett Baer asked, he said, raise your hand if you are not going to take the pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. Because Trump had been saying, if I don't win, I'm going to run as an independent and give it to Clinton. And Trump raised his hand as like a big FU. And he goes, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And everybody, boo, boo. Yeah. And Trump goes, I perfectly understand the question. He goes, I have a lot of leverage. And, if I'm going to run, I'll run as a Republican. But otherwise, I got a lot of leverage as an independent. I said, and in that moment, I said, you were willing to let the GOP die. I said, and I love that because we're here for you. I said, we're not here for Kevin McCarthy. I said, we're not here for Ronna McDaniel, the Republicans. I said, we love you. We support you. I said, and this midterm stuff, I said, even your speech, your announcement speech, I said, we want that old Trump back. We support you as a guy because you're an outsider. You're America first. And that really resonated with him. He's like, oh, okay. He goes, this guy's hardcore. This guy really gets me. He says, he does this point like he does a sideways point. This guy really gets me.
This guy gets me. Yeah.
He goes, hey, you're hardcore.
Yeah, he understands the issues. That Trump voice. Part of the deal. Yo, man. Sorry, continue.
So anyway, so that was the gist of our back and forth. But then the dinner changes when, because then Ye and Trump are talking, and I can't talk too much about that conversation. I can tell you afterward, it'll blow your fucking mind. But anyway, so that's going on. And Karen is kind of like kicking Ye under the table, like, hey, remember what you're here to ask him. Because we set it up. He actually wrote not like a setup. I mean, Ye was planning on asking him to be his vice president. Right. Everybody says we set Trump up to get him in trouble. We didn't. Yeah. What we wanted to do was Ye wanted to ask him to be his running mate. Yeah. That was literally.
So this is what you were originally telling before I want to get more information before we got here. Okay. Yeah. So continue. Sorry.
So,
so he asked him to be my running mate.
Yeah. So, well, and even before the dinner, I mean, the famous tweet where he says, I forget what he said. He said, Rainey, I can't believe I kept the president waiting and I'm wearing jeans. How do you think he's going to take it when I ask him to be my running mate? That is very yay. That is very nay. He published it after, but he wrote it before. He was going to publish it before. Okay. So anyway, so Karen's kicking him under the table like, hey, remember what you came here to ask him? Mm-hmm. And so Ye says, oh, yeah. Would you be my running mate in 2024? And Trump, like, I thought he'd be like kind of jocular and say, oh, ha, whatever. He got pissed.
Oh, really?
And my right hand to God, like, I am not even exaggerating a little bit at all. For some reason, I knew this wasn't going to happen, but I was like afraid, like he was going to punch me.
Whoa, he was that angry.
I swear. Like, shit. And, obviously that wasn't going to happen. I mean, it wasn't like physically.
Was this towards the end of the conversation?
Yeah, this is at the very end.
This after you showed your support, everything. Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay. And like, he was exuding so much. And this is what everybody says about him. And I learned it that day. This guy's like no joke when it comes to the art of the deal, negotiation. Like, he's a master of dealing with people, and so he changed his posture. He crosses his arms, leans forward, and he says to Ye, he goes, you know what? He goes, you can win at a lot of things. He goes, and you can do your music and everything, but you shouldn't run. You'll never win at this. You can't. You think you can win at this? You can't win at this.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then and I was like, whoa.
Oh, fuck.
And he turns to me and he goes, you're a pretty smart guy. He goes, I know you work for him, but go ahead, tell him he can't win. Go ahead, tell him. I know you're a smart guy.
Wow.
And I'm looking at him.
Wow.
And I'm looking at Ye.
Talk about a predicament.
Shit. Right?
Yo.
I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Killing it right there. He said, yo, I ain't playing games. You're not winning. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and I left this part out. So even before he said that, he told 3 stories. And they all had a very clear point. And it was not subtle at all. Trump is like a genius at this. It was so masterful. So Ye, indicates that he's going to run.
What are the 3 stories? You don't have to say specifically.
Yeah, I'll just list them off.
Well, okay, go ahead.
It was a story about, I think, Kodak Black, who got freed, and was it Sweden?
He pardoned him for his felon charge, yeah.
So it's Kodak Black.
Possession, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the basketball player in China who got charged, and he secured that guy's release. LeVar Ball.
LeVar Ball's son.
Okay, D'Angelo Ball. Okay, yep.
Jello.
LeAngelo Ball.
Jello, yeah.
Right, there you go, yeah. And it was those 2, and it was a story about Alice Johnson. And the story went something. So he starts out and I'm not going to tell the full thing, but this is the gist. So he goes, yeah. He goes, are you still with your wife? Are you still attracted to her? You still love her? And he's like, yeah, of course, And he goes, I want you to tell her that she's a disgusting human being. He goes, Exact words.
Whoa. To Kim K?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's right, though. She is a disgusting human being.
But here was the justification. He goes, because you know what? He goes, I freed Alice Johnson, and then she goes and endorses Biden. She's a disgusting human being. I want you to tell her I said that. He goes, I was like, bro, that's his wife. That's his ex-wife. Then he goes in a story about Kodak Black, and he goes,
I thought he meant Kim K. Or did he mean Kim K too?
What do you mean?
No, Kanye's current wife, which is
no, the ex-wife, Kim Kardashian.
Okay, so
he said
they're broken up.
Yeah. That's what I meant. So he said Kim K is disgusting, and then who's the other person? Alice Johnson.
But they freed Alice Johnson. Kim Kardashian helped secure Alice Johnson's
commutation. All right, there we go. Okay, because I remember that she went to the White House to pardon somebody, but I didn't know who it was. Alice Johnson that she got pardoned.
And so he basically said, like, I would never have released her if I knew Kim would have endorsed Biden. And then
there we go.
So this is the moral of the story. Next story about Kodak Black. He goes, I freed Kodak Black, and he told the whole story. And by the way, this is the other thing that was like jarring. This is what made me think he was going to hit us, is because the whole conversation was so cordial. He starts telling these stories and starts dropping F-bombs, like every other word, like a mafia boss. He goes in and he's like, so I told this fucking motherfucker this. And I'm like, this is the president. Like, and you've heard him swear at the rallies. It's kind of kitschy.
Yeah.
But this is like some serious, like Casino. It's like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Just to the story is, I would have never freed Kodak Black if I knew how disloyal he was, that he went and said all this nasty stuff after I got him freed.
Are you serious? He did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Same thing after China. He said about the and this one was even better.
It's not easy to get a presidential pardon either.
No. Yeah. Well, and that's what Trump said, is that he went to great lengths to secure his release because these guys were in real trouble.
What was Kanye doing when he was coming at him like that? Was he just sitting there like?
Well, remember he wasn't with Kim no more. He's like, yeah, she probably is a fucking.
No, but you could tell he was visibly angry, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's one of these like power plays. You know how these political people are. Like, they're not. It wasn't imminently obvious in that moment that like he was attacking us, that he was sending a very veiled threat.
Yeah.
I think by the end it was pretty apparent what was going on, because in the moment we're like, whoa, he just switched up and is telling this really weird story all of a sudden. But by the end of it, we're like, oh, that's what he meant. And so the third story was about the basketball player, and he said, the basketball player was brought out on the tarmac, because the president was there for the revolution's anniversary or something, big state visit, a lot of flags and everything. And so and this happened at the same time. And Trump said that the Chinese would not free this guy at the same time that Trump left, because they said, you're not going to embarrass the president leaving at this, you disgrace. You're not going to leave the same time he leaves on this big state visit. And so Trump says that after his plane took off, the Chinese brought the basketball player on the tarmac and slapped him across the face.
Really?
The Chinese official did.
Oh, wow.
And said, you embarrass the president. Don't you dare embarrass the president.
Wow.
And Trump said, and the father goes out and thanks everybody other than me. Trump said, I never would have pardoned him. I would have let him rot in China if I knew they were going to do that.
Wow.
Now, what's the moral of the story in all these cases?
They backstabbed him.
Disloyal black guys, where Trump did him a favor and these people embarrassed him and stabbed him in the back. And it's like, and obviously that's relevant to the later conversation about, will you be my running mate?
Will you be my running mate?
And so when Trump says, you can't win this and that, and then he basically threw us out. He's like, what time's your flight? I'll walk you out. It's right across the street.
Wow.
And then refused to take a picture with Ye.
Oh, shit.
Because across the other side of the dining room was that they said the richest banking family in Switzerland or Germany was having dinner. This is Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yay, come get a picture with us. And they said, we want a picture with both. And Trump refused. He's like, oh, you get a picture. He wouldn't get in the picture with Ye after that. He was cool with me. He came up to me and shook my hand. He's like, and he said, I'll see you soon. You're really, he really liked me. He was just mad at Ye, I think.
Damn.
Or maybe Karen.
Wow. Fuck. What was the Secret Service doing? My question, what the fuck were they doing all this time? Were they there? Obviously.
I didn't even really notice them, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, everyone criticized Trump for saying like, wow, they just let anybody in Mar-a-Lago. And like, yeah, kind of. I mean, because we just walked through the front door.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I wasn't paying super close attention. I was kind of nerding out.
Yeah, of course.
So did Kanye react at all to this? Did he ever say like, yo, like, relax, like, don't talk to me like that? Or was it just like, I'm just take this on the chin?
He was really taking it on the chin. He was really being diplomatic.
Wow.
And I think he was, we were all just kind of taken aback. Yeah. I mean, it was so shocking because here we are. I mean, it has weight to be there in his presence.
Oh, yeah. You're at his house.
He's a man, you know?
Yeah.
And for him to switch up like that and just bring this intensity 0 to 100, I think we were all like, we got in the car. We were like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, but we were all like, yo, that was crazy.
I mean, he became a billionaire for a reason. You know what I mean? He became wildly successful for a reason. He became president for a reason. So, I mean, but damn, I mean, I will say this as a guy that used to work for the government before, as you guys know, used to be with Homeland, whatever. It is very difficult to get a presidential pardon. Rarely ever happens.
But didn't he also pardon A$AP Rocky as well?
You know what? It might have been about A$AP Rocky.
So
yeah, I think I got him confused.
I don't think Kodak was disloyal. I think he actually picked up Trump. I think A$AP was the one that was kind of like, whatever, right?
I think you might be right. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up. I think you're right. It was A$AP Rocky.
He did pardon Kodak too. So, okay, Fresh is right. Okay, so
both of them, right?
So, okay, so it was A$AP that he pardoned that turned his back.
Yeah, it was one of them. The one that he was like caught with a knife, I think, in Scandinavia.
That's it.
So it was A$AP Rocky.
Oh, Rihanna's current baby daddy.
It was when he got arrested in Europe.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes. It was when he got arrested in Europe. Him and his entourage beat up a dude.
That's right.
And then okay, so he was pissed off. You know what? That makes more sense. Who was his wife? Rihanna, liberal.
Yeah. Right.
Of course you're gonna say Biden.
Listen, my nigga Kodak, he's loyal, man.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because bro, because on my head I was like, damn, did Kodak really switch up on Trump? Because to get someone pardoned federally, and remember, guys, he went in for found in possession of a firearm. What he did was he was a felon, and he actually bought a gun and wrote on the form he's not a felon. Yeah, like, come on, man, like that's clear cut. ATF got you. That's all right. So I was like, bro, you know what I mean? So they got it. Okay, so it's that makes sense.
My boy Kodak would never.
Yeah. No, my mistake. Yeah, you're right. It's A$AP Rocky.
So that makes sense because you know what? It makes sense because the basketball player. So he basically got people out of situations where they were in prison in foreign countries, which that's even harder than a federal pardon because you deal with it's your country. Okay, pardon the guy. But if it's like a foreign country, you got to do diplomatic stuff. Oh, well, you got this spy of mine that was arrested in '85. I need y'all to release him. Like,
I will say this, though. The whole LeVar Ball situation with his son, he could have just said, you know what? I don't like you, but thank you for doing that for my son. Because honestly speaking, he could have been in jail rotten for real, though.
In China? Bro. In China of all places?
You were done, bro.
Me love you long time. In jail. Nigga, like, yo, bro.
I know he's out having a kid, having, family and stuff like that. It's like, bro, you got to owe him something.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. No, I think Trump was right, but he was telling those stories to send a message like, hey,
we probably had to fucking trade a prisoner for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're dealing with foreign powers. China, I know that was a pain in the ass to get them out. It was Sweden or Norway or one of these. That at least is an ally. So it's like, okay, you know, but we probably have to do some bullshit for that. But that makes sense because Rihanna is a hardcore lib. She's always, oh yeah, Biden.
Shout to Barbados,
Obama, man. Yeah. Oh, well, it is what it is. All right, where we at here?
Rumble.
Yeah, I think it's time to switch over to Rumble.
Yeah. After these,
if you guys are enjoying this interview right now, wait till y'all come over to Rumble, baby.
Listen, Nick, we're gonna debate on Rumble about this interracial stuff. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool,
yeah,
man.
Just don't hit me.
John 15:18. If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. Thank you, Nick, for all that you do. Also, fix your super chat system. Okay.
Oh, on Cozy, probably.
Well, either way, cozy.tv/Nick. Check them out.
Yep.
Pulse Chain Gang, W Fresh Fit. Thank you, man.
Shout out to Pulse Gang.
Yeah, we made it for an hour and a half on YouTube, and the lights are still on. Nice. Martin, where do I play to be a co-host? That Ninja Fresh is simply not smart enough for these types of conversations. No shade, Fresh, just being objective.
How am I being not smart enough? I don't understand. Like me being smart and ask the questions. What does that have to do with anything? Like. I'm asking good questions here.
You best just hate you, bro.
I know. What
everyone deserves a right to vote. If you don't like how Group A votes, go convince them to vote differently like y'all are. That's how America works. Taking away the vote will never happen anyway. So I waste time fantasizing about it. Yeah. Ron, here's the thing, bro. We were talking about women voting. I think a female vote should be half because they don't engage in selective service. And then another thing, too, let's be honest. Women tend to vote Democrat all the time, and they're more communitarian by nature. So, and then some guys shouldn't vote at all. Like some of y'all are stupid and don't deserve to vote. I think you should take an IQ test before you vote.
Think before you vote.
Yeah.
Please.
Jay Martin. Walter, it's interesting you could say good boy to Nick disrespectfully, yet never disrespect ignorant rappers and leftist thugs you bring on. Not take a pick with Trump. Ask endless race-related questions of 304s. Try to convince everyone of your BBC.
Obviously, I was trolling. If I was being disrespectful, I would have been
Well,
more.
you didn't take a picture with Trump, not because you don't like Trump, but because he was swarmed.
So
right?
this is why I didn't take a picture with Trump, just publicly speaking.
At the UFC.
Because 2 reasons. One, I gave Sneeko that chance before me because I wanted him to get that picture. He was dying to get a picture with Trump. Sneeko wanted that picture from the very beginning. I said, you know what? I'll stay back. You go ahead, bro. Because, Rumble CEO, they were talking whatever. And then Gideon was next, and then Aiden. I was like, you know what? I'm cool. I don't need it. But secondly, is because how I'm moving in the streets, I got things going on in the background. I can't be aligned to anything political. So that's why I didn't do it, pretty much. So. I know it sounds crazy, but like the people I'm hanging with, bro, like certain things I can't be like in that, environment. Like I just can't.
All right.
So,
Nick, are you sure it was Kodak Black and not ASAP Rocky? I thought Kodak still loves Trump.
Yeah.
It was ASAP.
Yeah.
So error. All right, we got it.
I mean, we're all black, bro. So
Yeah, they all look the same.
Yeah,
Hey, told you, man. I look the same, man.
That was a layup. Come on. That was a layup.
Tomato.
The lights are on.
Tomato.
Chris in the back being racist as hell. Y'all haven't heard him.
Yeah, he's saying something power, Chris.
Hey, I've been trying to go back.
Chris been excited. He saw Nick and he was like, "Oh, finally!
Oh, shit.
Yes!"
Yo, wait to Rumble.
Yeah, I'll say it again if you're looking forward to Monday's episode. Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, and Nick is going to be back here on Monday as well, guys. Don't worry.
All right, guys.
So real quick, come on over to Rumble right now. Rumble.com/FreshFitNinjas. Come on over right now because we're going to get into the Juliet, Quebec, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Juliet, Quebec coming up. Rumble.com/FreshAndFit.
Jacqueline.
Right now, guys.
Let's go.
All right.
Rumble.
We are fucking Rumble, baby. I know what time it is.
Now we're free.
All right, what's up, faggots? We're on fucking Rumble. Woo!
Chris,
All right.
Chris, I know you're not talking, bro.
What do you want to say? Go ahead, Chris. Say what you want to say.
Just white power. Let's get it.
Welcome to Rumble, bro. Nick, everyone calls you a white supremacist, bro.
Wait,
Hold
on.
A racist and shit.
Do my intro. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. Post it on Go ahead. Say it again.
Fresh is the social media guy that ruins it for everybody. Bro, let's take pictures. I'm like, bro,
they need to come here, right? So just say it again.
All right.
Go.
Wait, say what do you want? The Rumble?
The intro for Nick. No, we're Rumble.
That is white supremacist?
Yes.
You want to put that on Instagram?
Bro, you don't want to put that. Okay, the other part.
Fuck you, Nick. I'm just gonna ask the question. All right, I'm gonna ask the question.
Go.
So, Nick, right? If you Google yourself and you look at yourself in Wikipedia, whatever, they name you a white supremacist, a neo-Nazi, all this other fucking bullshit. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, they call everybody that.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not down with this, what it's about fundamentally is like masochistic anti-white thing. Like if you're not a self-hating white person, you're a white supremacist.
Mm-hmm.
Because throughout my life
and
throughout
the same shit to Tommy Robinson as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like I've noticed that if you're conservative and you're Caucasian and you're not like super, self-appeasing minorities, they call you a racist and a white supremacist.
Even call black people white supremacists.
Yeah.
If they're supporting the wrong issue or the wrong person. And the thing is, like, I'm just not down with that. I've never been down with that. I like black people. I like brown people. I like you guys. You're pretty cool. But I'm not a self-hating white person. I'm not one of these people that thinks that white people are guilty or we're uniquely evil or we have some sort of unique liability for the world's problems like war, slavery, colonialism. I'm white. I'm proud. I like white people. I think America should be a majority white country. Like, I don't think we should change the demographics.
Okay.
And I've been calling out the anti-white bias in the media for a long time, even actually before it was popular. I think now people are talking about it more, but I was one of the first people. Well, I guess when I turned 18, I suppose people have been talking about it for a long time, but politically, I was one of the first major voices out there talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Now, people say, "Oh, well, Nick, your last name is Fuentes. You're a Mexican." What's your response to that?
Well,
the fucking idiots that say that shit.
Well, it's just funny because I know that if I go into like a Mexican neighborhood, like in Chicago, if I go to Little Village and they're all brown and like 4 feet tall and they got black hair, you know what I mean? If I go over there and I go, "Hey, hola, guys. Hey, I'm one of you, right?" Like they're gonna laugh at me.
Yeah.
If I go into, and here's the other thing. If I go into a group of liberals and say, "Hey guys, like, don't worry, I can say this stuff because I'm not white, I'm Mexican," like they would laugh in my face.
Yeah.
But because I go out there and talk about white people, They look at my last name. They say, oh, you're not white. Even if I wasn't white, I'd feel the same way. Yeah. Some people consider me not white. I don't care. I feel the same way about it.
Both your parents Italian?
My mom's Italian. My dad's half Irish, half Mexican.
Okay. So that's where that last name comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, bro, you're definitely Caucasian. I mean, here's the thing. Even Hispanics a lot of times are considered white under the list.
Right.
So it's like, okay. Yeah.
Well, my father grew up white. My father, and he tells me about this, on the census decades ago, there was no Hispanic box. You were white or black.
Yeah.
And he considered himself white. I mean, he's definitely a darker shade than me for sure. But, I'm pretty fair skinned.
Is he brown?
I don't want to say he's brown. I mean, he's sort of like
caramel,
off-white, like a little off-white.
Oh man. So they say that you're, and then where does this, label of, do you think it's all gets lumped in, the white supremacist, neo-Nazi, all that other shit? It gets lumped in just because of that you think that you don't believe in race mixing? Is that where that comes from?
I think it comes from a lot of things, because I talk about race realism, race and IQ. I talk about race mixing. So it's really a collection of them. I get called that name for any of them. If I said any of them in isolation, I would get called that thing. And, initially I got called that. Surprisingly, I went to this job training in 2017 with Leadership Institute, which is like they staff all the conservative groups, like Turning Point, every one of them.
Yeah.
And I went there for a job training before I was really known. And the first day I go out there and they're doing a little icebreaker. They say, go around the room, tell us why you're conservative. And everybody says, well, I like small government. I like freedom and whatever.
Yeah.
And they go to me and I say, well, you know what? I said, and it's prescient right now. I said, I'm a conservative because France is no longer France. Paris is no longer Paris. Our civilization's being destroyed by mass immigration. I said, I'm a conservative because I want to conserve that.
Yeah.
They disqualified me day one. Said, you're a racist.
Wow.
Day one.
What's your views on mass immigration?
Totally against it.
Okay. Can you tell us why?
I think that we could talk about the economic arguments. People talk about it's bad for wages. They take jobs, that kind of thing.
Bigger jobs.
Right. People talk about crime. They say they bring crime. And there are some that say, actually, that's not true. Ron Unz, who I'm a big fan of, he's a big proponent for years that immigrants have less crime.
Yeah.
It's really neither here nor there for me. Mass immigration is changing what America is.
Okay.
Because I think that people are not interchangeable. I don't think that white and black people are interchangeable. I think they're different. I think that white and Hispanic people are different. White and Asian people are different. I think that when you look at these civilizations they've created, it's a result of who they are essentially. Like Europe is the way it is because of the European people. Mm-hmm. And I think Africa is the way it is because of the African people. Asia is the way it is because of the Asian people. The only people that can perpetuate a European civilization are Europeans.
Okay.
And if you change that fundamentally, if tomorrow America is 99% not white, it's going to be a different country.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that benefits. I don't know who that's good for. And I don't think it's right. This is our homeland, and this doesn't mean it's a country only for white people, but it means it's a country that was founded, built, inhabited by white people. There's always been a black minority. There's always been some other minority groups. I think it should remain that way. Okay. I think it would be terrible if China were turned into a multiracial country and Russia's a multiracial. And, where's the homeland for anybody? The last thing I'll say is this. France, what's going on right now? Migrants are blowing shit up. These Algerians are freaking out.
Yeah.
And so funny. They put out a statement and they say, we got to evacuate the Jews in France to Israel because if the Muslims take over, it's going to be a bad day. And this is always what's been on the front of my mind. Where are we going to be evacuated to? When America gets taken over similarly, when there's George Floyd 2.0 and they're killing white people and we're 30% of the population, where are we going to get evacuated to? Canada? Canada's going to be 10% white at the end of the century. Australia, same story. Western Europe, same story. Where are we going to go? Africa's full of Africans. Latin America's full of Latin Americans. Asia's full of Asians. Every white country in the world is being buried in immigration and fundamentally diluted, change its identity, change its whole demographic structure. And, that's just wrong. I say that as an American.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm going.
I do agree on certain things what you said regarding, like, for example, let's say immigrants come and they destroy your country, then it's messed up. Let me ask you this, though. Kanye West, did you ask him why he's dating Kim?
Well, we actually talked about that.
Really?
Believe it or not,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Not about Kim, though, about the new wife.
Did you agree?
No, I told him I disagree.
What? Wait, hold on. To his face?
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
So we were at the Waldorf Astoria, and we were in the lobby, and it was just me and him. I forget precisely when this was, but everyone else had gone home. It was just me and him. And he was telling me about the new wife, who I like. You know, she's very nice and she's intelligent. And he's showing me pictures and saying, oh, she's Italian. She's from Australia. And he goes, you know, I really like her because she's an architect. He goes, I like that she's smart. You know, we have these common interests. I love what she posts and this and that. And he goes, well, he actually knew my position on this.
Oh, he did.
You know, because a lot of people are sending him stuff about me. When people saw me rolling with him, a lot of his friends were sending stuff about me and saying, you can't hang out with this guy. He's a Nazi. It actually just made him like me more. He said that, you know, I said on a show once, I said, I'm Hitler 2, 3, and 4. And he said, oh, I love that Nick said that. He goes, you know, so he just got a kick out of that. But he actually knew my position. He said, oh, I know you don't. I know how you feel about that. Because that was one of the first things we talked about on like day one. And I said, yeah, I said, no, I'm not really a fan of that. I think you should marry someone who's black. I think people should marry who they want. I said, obviously it's your prerogative, you know, it's your life and you could do what you like. I said, if you feel strongly about her, I said, it's a pretty unique situation. I would say Ye is a unique case.
Yeah.
You know, because he's exceptional in many ways. But I told him, you know, those are not my values. We respectfully disagreed. And, you know, there's a lot of people that disagree on this. What I point out, though, is it wasn't long ago that everybody felt this way. Like all white people were against interracial dating and marriage, like a generation ago.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I think almost all non-white people are against interracial dating and marriage today. Like maybe the younger generation, I think it's different. But you look at older generations, specifically of Asians, Jews, Hispanics, they all tell their kids to marry within their race and within their ethnicity. They say like, meet a nice Vietnamese girl, you know, meet a nice Korean girl or whatever. Black people too, you know, they get mad when there's like, you know, you talked about Dr. Umar. And he's one of them who talks about this.
So it's funny because I never said this on the show before, but even my mom, you know, like in Barbados.
Oh, shit.
I'd always bring white girls home. Shout out to my mom. And she'd be like, Walter, when do you bring black girl home? And I'm like, Mom,
I didn't know that.
I dated black girls before. Nothing's bad.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, you know, I just preference wise, I prefer this. And I can
Dunkin' Oreos and milk.
Exactly. Cream pies. I can agree that, like, on some level, you know, you disagree with my way of life and Paul is as well. But you can work with people like that. It's fine. So once again, it's an opinion. It's his way of life. You can disagree.
And here's the other thing too. I want to say for all you fucking faggots out there, I am all about free speech. If Nick wants to say fucking why we got to keep the white race pure, he should be able to fucking say that shit without you fucking pussy motherfuckers out there getting angry. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, bro, that's what this country was founded upon. It's free speech. Do I agree with everything Nick says? No. I want to fuck a bunch of white bitches. But I'm not going to sit here. I don't like your opinion. I'm going to attack you. No. Civilized people can sit down, have a conversation about this shit. And you know what? I don't agree with that, but your fucking freedom of speech needs to be protected. If someone comes in here and tries to attack Nick because of views, I'll punch him in the face. Yeah. Because, his freedom of speech needs to be protected. Fuck. Well, just because I disagree with it is irrelevant.
The same way people are gay and they fight for gay rights, listen, that's their prerogative. Once it doesn't involve me, cool. So my thing is like, hey, he wants to believe that? Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, man.
But I will say this, though. So, Nick, in your opinion, let's say, for example, I don't follow your path of, like, you know, dating only black women and I date white women. Should you preach that to people or just say, you know what, this is my opinion, do what you want?
Well, I preach it because it's my values. You know, I think that people should share those values because, and I'll say one thing about it before I address that specifically. The one thing I want to touch on is we have to also acknowledge that it's very much a double standard. Like when Jews, Asians, Hispanics, or blacks say, I want you to marry a nice whatever girl or a nice to get whatever husband.
Even my family says that shit. Yeah. Agreed, yeah.
And they say that. And not only that, but in mainstream culture, it's almost people treat it like it's amusing. They're like, oh, you know, that's so quaint and colloquial. When white people do it, it's like, what are you, a fucking white supremacist? What, you hate every other race? You don't want to marry a non-white person? You oppose that? What, are you some kind of evil person, bigot, prejudice? Every other group does it. It's fine. So I'll just say that. But in addition to that, because that is a question. People always say like, well, is that just something that's a personal decision? You keep it to yourself, or do you encourage other people? And I would say that's a value that's important to me. And I tell white people, I think white people should stay with their own. I think it's important. And here's why. It's part of my view on race. I think race is like your extended family because it's genetic similarity. What is your race but people that are genetically similar? They share ancestry, they share heritage, they share culture. And so I want to find a woman, eventually, I want to find a wife that she values that. That's important to her. That we look the same, that we have similar ancestry, heritage, culture, all those things. And I think those things are important. I think it's important that people value those things. Like, I'm not going to say like, well, if you don't value something that I think is deeply important, whatever. I think people should think those things are important. You don't, that's fine. And I have civil conversations with people that do race mixing, people that are adulterous, people are promiscuous, people that are homosexual, transsexual. And I could say, I think those things are wrong. That doesn't comport with my value system. At the end of the day, there always has been and there always will be some degree of mixing within a country demographically and with intermarriage. But historically, it's always been very low. You always see a very low rate. Traditionally, it's like 6% or even lower sometimes.
And it's really only like an American and first world thing. You look at other countries.
Yeah.
You look at Japan, you look at these more homogenous countries, low crime rates, and there's no race mixing.
Yeah.
But sorry, continue, Nick. You were saying.
Yeah. Hold on, Nick. Are you 100% white?
Well, I mean, not necessarily, no.
So by those standards, technically speaking, you're not going to find a wife that's going to be all white as well, like you, right?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing.
So basically, we are all race mixing at some point.
Well, and just because there's like different shades of red doesn't mean there's red. Just because there's like, you can mix red and blue and get purple. The essence of purple doesn't mean there's not red and blue. You know what I mean? And so, that's true, I think, up to a point. But if people looked at me on the street, what would they say? Would they say, you're 15% indigenous and 85% European? They'd say you're a white guy, And if people saw you, I don't know, your genetic mix, but I'd say you're black.
Bro. You can't argue that, bro. Black as hell, bro.
Chris, what'd you say, Chris? Yo, well, Rumble, they can just say it with your chest. Yeah, there you go. Yo, and here's the thing. Yeah. Again, like the freedom of speech thing is big, because my thing is this. If you got people of all these other, and this is people call me an Uncle Tom for saying this shit or whatever, but if my parents going to run around and say, you need to marry a Sudanese woman, or your mom could say, bring back home a black woman, or they should say, marry an Asian woman, blah, blah, blah. Or you got Dr. Umar, you need to marry a black woman. I think white people should be able to say, you need to bring home a white girl. But if they say it, it's a problem. That's my thing, is that there's this crazy double standard where Caucasians are always insulted for being proud of their race. Like, if you say black power, fantastic. If you say white power, oh, that's a problem. You know what I mean? So my thing is
just after this point of free speech.
Yeah.
So Dave Rubin posted a report today, and Kyle Becker actually tweeted this. He said, Michigan House approves anti-free speech bill. Incorrect pronouns could cost you $10,000 or jail time. So
in Michigan,
free speech is crazy,
bro. Yeah,
like right now, that's the start of it.
Yeah,
it's going to spread.
It's going to become worse.
So, what are your thoughts on free speech, Nick?
Well, there's layers to it. It's been coming in waves. I'm talking about censorship, and it really started with the Trump election in 2016. I mean, there's always been censorship. It's always been a regulated press. But what happens in 2016, which is interesting, 2016 was the first presidential election when you had this high adoption of both social media and smartphones. People don't realize that. You had internet, you had email, you had desktop, but iPhone comes around, like 2009, 2010, Facebook around the same time. And you look at the adoption in 2012, and it's about half for both of what it was in 2016. So, and 2016 was sort of foreshadowed by some of these other developments like Gamergate, culture war on the college campus. What I mean to say is that the arrival of social media on the smartphone basically heats everything up.
Yeah.
It's decentralized information. There's no gatekeepers. Print, radio, television, for the most part, all highly centralized. Social media, you get citizen journalists, you get the forums, you get 4chan, you get Twitter. ISIS is chopping off heads. At the same time, you got Gamergate going on. You got, people dropping red pills. And they started to freak out about this at 2016. If you recall, the day after the Trump election, November 8th, 2016, Facebook and Google and all of them come out. And it was actually leaked audio. I think Breitbart reported this, where they said, we can literally never let this happen again. Like, Trump got elected because of so-called fake news. That's where it originated. We can never let that happen again. We need censorship. And that's actually fake news was what Facebook called it. Facebook they tested this policy where they were going to put a preview on Breitbart or InfoWars articles and say, this is fake news. This is flagged as fake news. Right.
Yeah.
And that's where Trump flipped it on its head in the first press conference and said, you are fake news. Right. But so he actually appropriated it. And anyway, basically ever since that point, it's been coming in waves. And first it was Twitter bans and Facebook bans. And, I got banned from those. Then it was payment processors, PayPal, Stripe.
Damn.
PayPal and Stripe are 95% of the payment gateways on the internet. PayPal's 92%, Stripe is like 3%.
Wow.
It might have changed since then. That statistic's old, but it's most of the market share. Then they get you in the banks. They debank you, which has happened to me also. I got banned from Chase Bank. I got banned from Bank of America. I applied for a bank account at Chase Bank. They literally told me, don't even fucking bother. I applied. Wow. And before I could submit the application, a window popped up and said, sorry, you cannot create an account.
So I gotta, because I've always wondered about this when they debank you and going back, right? I guess it's time to go into the JQ time, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So what led to you getting debanked specifically?
It was, it's hard to say because I had been banned. I guess the first bank I was banned from was Bank of America. So it was really, the thing is, though, they don't tell you. It's after
Bank
January 6th.
America First.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
What the fuck?
What did you say? What did you say that, because I remember you said that you started asking these questions, going back to our original situation here. You started asking these questions, right? Because Obama didn't sign an executive order to give funds to Israel. Right. And you actually agreed with that. One of the things you agreed with. And then you started asking these questions. Take us through that, and I guess through the path, and then what led to the debank and everything else.
Well, the timeline of it was I lost my PayPal first. I think that was the first thing I got banned from was 2018. I want to say September 2018. I got banned from YouTube in February 2020. I got banned from Bank of America last summer, or maybe it was summer 2021, I think. And the thing is, though, they don't tell you. I mean, they just pull the plug. They tell you it's a reputational risk. They give it to you in a check. You have to go and arrange for it to be transferred out. They say you have 30, 60, 90 days to transfer it out.
Okay.
And if you don't, they send you a check in the mail. Here's your money. Here's your money, bitch.
Wow.
And I got banned from local banks.
How'd you find out?
National. They send you a letter in the mail, first class, and they literally send you a letter and say, we're closing your business checking account, your personal checking account, because you're a reputational risk to the bank.
Wow. Okay, so that's why they literally just say because you're a reputational risk.
Right.
Question: do you get your money back?
Yeah, you get the money.
How? In a check?
Yeah, you can. Will you either transfer it out or they send a check to you in the mail?
Got it.
After they close it, they give you a little time. I got kicked out of this bank. I want to say at the end of last year, and they told me you got 30 days to get it out. And that was when the Yay 24 stuff was going on. So I just didn't even get the letter. And so the lady calls me and she goes, hey, you still haven't gotten your money out. And I said, yeah, I've been in California. She goes, well, no one's told me anything. So, I'll give you another 60 days. I said, okay.
Shout out to her, man.
Right. So I transferred most of it out. I think I still have that bank account.
Oh, shit.
Because they just didn't get on her ass about it. But that wasn't the case.
Letter reputational risk.
Yeah,
Chase,
reputational
Bank
risk.
of America, all that. And then what did you say that led to that specifically? Do you know?
They don't tell you, they don't tell you specific thing, but that was never a problem until 2021. So maybe it was the Capitol because I was there at January 6th.
Oh,
could be that.
Okay.
So if you can't bank at a bank,
that's what it was, bro. 100%.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It's a law enforcement thing, I think.
What do you do with your money? I mean, you don't say on air, but how would you combat that if you can't bank at a bank?
Well, I mean, I just literally, it's like a shell game. I was just moving it from bank to bank. And I mean, ultimately, I'm going to run out of banks. I have an account.
I'm going to run out of banks.
No, literally.
No, dude. You know what's scary? If you can't put your money in a bank, right?
Yeah.
For example, let's say you got to buy a property or get a loan. Dude, you can't use your bank to leverage that. So that means you're fucked. Literally.
And I was fucked because right after the Capitol, the FBI froze my money because this is a long story. But after the Capitol, the DOJ came in and froze all my cash in my bank account. Damn. I literally couldn't pay my bills for 2 weeks, a couple months actually. And my credit score got obliterated because you start falling behind on stuff and my credit score was 560 or something.
Under what authority were they? What did they cite when they did you get a letter?
No, I didn't get a letter. I didn't even know how it got frozen. And I produced a documentary about this with a buddy of mine, Paul Escondon.
Yeah.
So it was a really bizarre story. And it's so weird. Like, you may not even believe me, but my right hand of God, this is the truth. In December 2020, so a month before the Capitol, I get an email that says, hey, I just sent you some Bitcoin. Check your wallet. Because I have my Bitcoin address on my DLive page. I was on DLive. I go, okay. The guy sent me 13 Bitcoin.
Wow.
Which were 20 grand at that time. So it was like $250,000.
Holy fuck.
Like, what the fuck? And so I emailed the guy back, and I never had a correspondence with him. I had emailed him in August. He said, in August, he sent me, I think, a few $100 or something like that. Said, happy birthday. Here's a few $100 in Bitcoin. That was our only correspondence. So I'm going, what's going on? Am I reading this right? So I email him back, and I'm like, hey, man, thanks. You want to get on a call? Whatever. I never hear from him again. Totally bizarre situation. Well, some obscure, I don't know, it was an Antifa or something like that, was tracking my wallet, because you could track the inflows and outflows.
Yeah.
And put out a report, I think, in late December. And they said, hey, this guy just got a conspicuous donation.
Oh, it's on the fucking chain link.
Yeah, it's on the blockchain.
The blockchain. I'm sorry.
Right,
yeah, blockchain.
So then the Capitol happens, and I'm there at the Capitol. And by the way, so this is just like the wrong place, wrong time to the max. I never went in the building. Okay. I never went into the Capitol. I was outside, but.
Well, that's obvious. They would have charged you if that was, they would have loved to do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And they would have loved nothing more. The day of the Capitol, some fucking journalist took a screenshot from a buddy of mine's live stream, because not my friend anymore, but a friend of mine was in the Capitol live streaming, and there's this like pixelated guy in the background
that looks like you.
Looked like me. But not really, because I was wearing a suit and tie and a jacket, and this guy was wearing a scarf and a beanie and totally different outfit. But some fucking journalist says, oh, here's Nick Fuentes in Nancy Pelosi's office. Here's a picture.
Wow.
70,000 likes. 70,000 likes later. And this FBI affiliate who investigates Bitcoin called Chainalysis puts out a report and says, oh, it turns out Nick Fuentes, who was inside the Capitol and brought his followers there, got this big Bitcoin donation a month before. It gets better. It gets way better. The story hasn't even started. So who sends the Bitcoin? Well, they do some research about where the money came from, the wallet that it came from. And they find out it's this French hacker. It's this hacker from the country of France.
What?
He's got a blog. He's got a website. He left a suicide note the day that he sent the Bitcoin. And the suicide note says that he has this chronic illness. It's the deadliest, most painful illness known to man, but it's uncurable. It's some neurological condition. They say it's the most painful thing, no cure. And he said that he's resolved to commit suicide because they can't cure it. He's made this fortune in Bitcoin that he made through his hacking career. That's how he was paid. And he says that since he was diagnosed, he started watching content. And he starts watching guys like me and Andrew Anglin and others, and says, I want to bequeath my fortune to people that are going to save the West because, I identify all these problems and blah, blah, blah. And so he sent half to me and half to about a dozen other people, like Ethan Ralph, Anglin, Jared Taylor, whoever, VDare, Patrick Casey. And anyway, so this looks really
bad. My God.
Okay?
And here's the thing. I'm putting my Fed hat back on, and I'm like, oh, my God. Yeah, this is... Now I see why they froze your money.
Yeah.
100%.
So they see a large sum in crypto from a foreign country to a guy that was placed at the Capitol. Did it touch your
bank account? Did you? You put it into your...
Because I sold some of it. Yeah, I sold some of it.
Oh, so, God damn it.
Game over.
Yeah. Because, guys, just so that people understand the laws, once illicit funds, right, whether alleged or not, touches
your account,
legitimate money, whole account is frozen, man.
You know what's crazy?
Fuck.
Look at Andrew Tate. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
They're saying trafficking illegal money.
Yeah.
Touches the account. They just take all of it.
Wow. Yeah. So, dude, talk about bad luck. So you think you're in the Capitol. You're not in the fucking Capitol. Then on top of that, you get $250,000 of Bitcoin from a suspicious source from a foreign country.
A month before.
A month before.
So, well, and then, and, I wasn't in the Capitol. Was
he Muslim too?
He was Mexican. So,
okay, all right.
There you go.
I was about to say, if he was Muslim too, it was a rat.
Yeah.
Oh, Patriot Act! He's a terrorist!
Right.
But,
you mean the guy that they caught or the French guy?
The French guy.
No, he was French.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Like full on French, not like a foreign national. Okay.
100%.
But if it was Algerian, though.
Yeah.
That just hit me. What if the establishment planted a mole, or for example, this pseudo like real person to send you money, and they're actually like Muslim or certain them boys, and it's kind of like
if it was them boys, he wouldn't be in trouble.
Well, true, but no. Let's say it's Muslim, right?
Yeah.
Let's say
if it was a Habibi, it's a problem.
Sent him the money, or anybody the money like that. They could set you up.
Yeah. Some people have said that. I got a buddy of mine who. He has really good Substack. His name's Charles Johnson. He's like an intelligence spook, and he said something to that effect. He said, "You're probably set up. Like somebody probably
Thank God
arranged
you didn't
that."
go in the Capitol, man, bro. Fuck,
bro.
I
would have been.
Dude, in my head,
screwed.
I'm like, oh my God, no wonder. Like they had all the perfect lines, like to freeze your account, man.
Yeah, it was terrible. And
so, how long was it frozen for?
It was I can't comment on it because it's still an active investigation. So I don't even really want to talk about it because it's a grand jury.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
What? Did they subpoena you?
No, but when they freeze the money, so I don't know the whole process, but they said it's grand jury's involved. They said I'm a target of investigation. So that's the thing. People shit on me because I didn't tell everybody my money was frozen. And then there's some people say, oh, he got his money unfrozen. Why didn't he say anything? And it's like, I'm under a grand jury investigation. I can't be going and giving freaking updates every week,
But you got your money now.
I can't comment
on
the state of things because
holy fuck.
Well, and so this happens. I get put under investigation.
Did they interview you?
No, they never interviewed me.
The FBI agents that never came to talk to you?
No.
Don't
so knock on wood. Yeah, I think I might be okay.
Yeah. You got a lawyer?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And that
good.
costs a fortune. But
yeah.
So they freeze my money. And it was so traumatic because, I like to stay up all night sometimes and I do my show. I stay up all night.
When they show up, bro.
Yeah, no, for real.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, I know all about their tricks and everything. My lawyer said the same thing.
Don't say shit.
But it's late January 21. I'm up all night and my life is already in free fall. I get banned from my payment processing. I get banned from D Live. I get banned from everything. Instagram, Facebook.
Was D Live another streaming platform?
Yeah. And I had 60,000 subs. I was getting 10K viewers a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not even a main platform either.
No, I mean that was like an alt platform.
That's what I'm saying. It's alt.
Yeah.
And that's what led to Cozy TV.
Right. So it was after that I made Cozy TV.
Throw his link up, man, bro. Now y'all know why you don't gotta fuck with bitches, man. My man is out here, dealing with adversity and overcoming, man.
Yeah, you don't know the half of it. I mean, and anyway, so then I got subpoenaed though. I got subpoenaed by Congress, and that's when it was reconfirmed that I'm still under investigation.
I remember.
Did you take the fifth?
Yeah, and everything, of course. Yeah.
There was a video being played at this hearing or meeting with you and Sneeko. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Was that it?
No. I got subpoenaed by the House Select Committee.
He had to come in and talk. They put him under oath, and if they subpoenaed you, that means they put you under oath and they asked you questions, and you said no.
Damn. Yeah, they deposed me. With Adam Kinzinger was there, and one of the big or actually he's a Republican, but he's like a turncoat. And but yeah, I mean, it was actually kind of baller. I mean, I don't like to be in legal peril. My lawyer. It's so funny because my lawyer is actually.
Bro, they did to you what they did to the mafia.
Yeah, 100%.
Literally, when they were, uncovering La Cosa Nostra and everything, they brought them in and made them tell. They all took the fifth, of course, but wow.
Well, and the goal of that was to unearth all the communications because they're trying to build a case against Trump and the others, and so that's why they subpoenaed everybody's communications.
Yeah,
because they want to map out the network. They want to establish conspiracy probably.
Yeah, for
a lot of these guys. And anyway, my lawyer is kind of like a little bit of a lib, and he's like convinced that I want to be charged because this will be good for my career. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be charged with conspiracy. Like, fuck
that.
But these liberals, they think Roger Stone's behind everything.
If you're gonna talk about it, because you're off, you can fly now. But why the hell did they have you on the fucking no-fly list?
Well, so they told me that it was because during COVID, I a week before the Capitol, few weeks before the Capitol. It was in December, I think.
So was it after the riots that they put you on the no-fly list?
Yeah, after the riots. But the justification was before. They said that in December 2022, I got in a big fight with the flight attendant over the mask. Because during the mask mandate.
Man!
They're like, put your mask over your nose. And I got kicked off like a Southwest flight or something.
Yeah.
I was able to fly a bunch of times since then. Then after the Capitol, I get slammed on the no-fly list. And
How'd you find out?
Well, that's the thing. I tried to fly, and
you show up at the airport.
Yeah,
They let you buy the ticket.
Oh, yeah. They don't tell you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's a bullshit part. Because I go out, this is May 21. I was flying to this rally. I was doing a big rally in Florida about this tech censorship bill that DeSantis passed. And I show up early to the airport. And I wasn't able to check in on my phone because I fly all the time. I'm on TSA pre-check. I'm on the gold, whatever.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, because I travel a lot.
If you're on TSA pre-check, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck?
So I'm like, I try to check into my flight on my phone and it won't do it. It says check in at the kiosk. I go, okay, I go to the kiosk, try to check in. They go, well, we can't print your boarding pass. Go to the counter. I go to the counter. I say, hey, I can't check in on my phone. I can't check in on my kiosk. What's going on?
Yeah.
And they go, okay, well, what's your reservation number? What's your name? They look it up. And then she goes, oh, okay. Picks up the phone, calls TSA. Okay, she's on the phone for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And she tells me, I'm sorry, sir, you are not able to fly today. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? Like, is it TSA? Is it the airport? Is it the airline? I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I can't tell you anything else. You can't fly today. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, can I buy a ticket from United? Because it's an American flight. She goes, all I can tell you is it's like Kafka-esque. All I can tell you is you're not allowed to fly today. I'm like, is it the airline? Is it O'Hare? Okay. So I go to the United terminal. I buy a ticket. I go through, same deal. Wow. Can't check in. Can't check in. Go to the desk, on the phone for 45 minutes. Check again, 45 minutes. I go home, I tweet about it. I don't expect anybody to pay attention because I'm already blacklisted, ostracized. Nobody gives a shit about my struggles because I talk about the Jews. So I put out a tweet. I go, well, I can't come to the rally because I'm on the no-fly list, I think. And it blows up. Everybody's talking about it. And then people start saying, well, where's the proof? You're a liar. And I go, well, I didn't record it. I didn't think to record it because, I'm expecting to get on a plane.
Yeah.
So I buy another ticket at Midway, the other airport in Chicago, from Southwest, the third airline. And I think, well, surely if I'm at a different airport, different airline, different destination, different time of day, if I can't go on this flight, I can't fly.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. But this time I recorded it. And she accidentally said no fly list. I have the recording because I was recording. And the guy was giving me grief about it. He's like, oh, you recording? I'm like, no, I'm not recording. But I was. I'm holding my phone like this.
Yeah.
And the girl said something like offhand, she's like, something, no fly list. I said, what? No fly list? She goes, oh, I don't know. You could talk to the TSA down there. And I do, and they don't help me. And anyway, so I talked to my lawyer that was handling the money freeze.
Yeah.
And they tell him, or actually, no, I'm sorry. Alex Jones put me in touch with Norm Pattis. Norm Pattis is a big lawyer for Alex Jones and some other high-profile guys.
Because they probably put AJ on a no-fly list too, huh?
They didn't. Point. They never did.
They never did?
No, but he was interested in the case. You want to help me out?
Yeah.
So
shout out to Alex Jones, man.
Yeah, he helped me out. He's a good guy. So I filed, there's a form you can file, believe it or not. If you think you're on the no-fly list, you fill out a form. It's called the TRIP, Traveler Redress Inquiry Program. So you submit an application. And I called the TSA because there's a number. And I said, hey, I told the same story. I said, am I on the no-fly list? They said, well, we can't tell you because that's classified law enforcement information. They don't even tell you. Wow. Everybody thinks you get a letter that says, hey, you can't fly. You don't.
Yeah.
They don't tell you, even if you're on it.
Wow, bro. That's fucking crazy, man. I mean, that's typically reserved for people that are like terrorists and shit. Like, right. So you're telling me that you got into altercation before, during the pandemic because you didn't wear your mask. And then it actually took effect where you couldn't get on the plane after the riots.
Right. Yeah. So they sent me a letter in March and said, you've been removed from the no-fly list. This was last year. They said, we took you off the no-fly list. And they told me the reason, which was that.
The January 6th.
Uh-huh. And then, get this.
When you never even went to the fucking Capitol.
Right. Well, they didn't say January 6th. They said the flight attendant thing. They said, you were on there for this. And here's the best part.
That's bullshit. They just use that as an excuse.
I know.
That's really what it was.
But then everybody attacks me for it. So then Max Blumenthal, who is, he's the son of Sidney Blumenthal. Sidney Blumenthal's like Bill Clinton's hatchet man.
Okay.
His son, Max Blumenthal, they're Jewish, by the way. And they got, these guys roll with like the SPLC. This guy got the SPLC to issue a retraction. SPLC's got a $500 million war chest. This guy got him to issue a retraction. So he's got some juice,
Yeah.
And anyway, so this year, Max Blumenthal, he has his publication.
Of your?
No, I'm saying just generally, just to give you an idea of, he's got some clout. So this guy, and this was never a big issue. I mean, I said I was on the no-fly list. First, they don't believe me. You know, like, oh, you're full of shit. You know, you're not on the no-fly list. Then I record it. You know, then no one cares. Then I say, hey, I finally got off the no-fly list, and
AJ's lawyer helped you with that one, or going through trip, I guess.
So yeah, we wound up not going to trial for this because the trip, you know, got me off the list, so it was moot.
Nice.
But anyway,
and you're here now.
Yeah, so I was able to fly here. But so all is said and done, and then this year, this Max Blumenthal and his wife write a massive hit piece about me in their publication with the help of Tucker Carlson.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, saying that, oh, Nick actually isn't canceled because you see, when he got his money frozen, it's actually about this. And when he got put on the no-fly list, it's actually about this, and blah, blah, blah. They write this massive 3-part, 10,000-word hit piece. This is Sidney Blumenthal's son and wife. And here's the best part. I get a call. I'll say it now. I never said this on my show before. I get a call from Michelle Malkin, who's a major legend, conservative writer, author. She tells me that Tucker Carlson, before this hit piece comes out, she's telling me Tucker Carlson called me and is grilling me about you, saying, hey, we're all really worried about Kanye. We're all really worried about Kanye. What's going on with him? Was Nick Fuentes behind this? Is Nick Fuentes made him an anti-Semite?
Oh,
Nick Fuentes, is this?
Let me guess, is after he made his comments on Drink Champs?
After the Alex Jones.
Oh, after Alex Jones. Okay.
And so they're trying to set me up as the patsy for Kanye. They're trying to set me up as the fall guy for this whole thing.
What
Tucker's calling Michelle and saying, hey, like, and he's recording it. She says that he sounds like he's nervous, like he's recording it. He's asking these weird pointed questions because she says he never calls her. She'll text him occasionally, say, hey, take a look at this, that, or the other. Tucker, out of the blue, calls her up, asking about me, asking about Kanye, asking about if I'm a Fed and all this stuff. I find out later Tucker Carlson is working with Max Blumenthal, Sidney Blumenthal's son, Sidney Blumenthal, Bill Clinton hatchet man, on this hit piece, which again, 10,000 words, 3 parts. They're trying to attack my valor. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, a campaign goes up on this app called Influenceable. You ever hear of this?
No.
Influenceable is this new app where they pay influencers, conservative influencers, under the table to promote these campaigns. So if like some influencer wants, Elijah Schaefer and Bryson Gray and these guys to promote something, they'll go through Influenceable. It's like a medium to pay creators to do advertising campaigns.
Okay.
A buddy of mine sends me one of the campaigns from Influenceable that got put up. Someone put up $100,000 after this hit piece was written to shill this hit piece.
What?
They put up a campaign. They said, we're going to give Influenceable $100,000. That's the pot. That's the pot money.
Yeah.
And influencers will be paid to tweet out the link to this article and put out the hashtag #FedFuentes.
Wow.
Yep. So I put these guys on blast. I go out and say, what's going on? You got Max Blumenthal working with Tucker to do a hit piece on me. It's in this weird publication. Then there's this $100,000 bounty going out on, they're putting money out there, serious money to smear me.
What the fuck?
I go, what's going on? So I put this all over Telegram and then it disappears. All of a sudden the campaign disappears. And that the brother of the CEO of Influenceable calls me and says, hey, man, could you take that down? Could you take that down? We don't, everyone's getting attacked over here at Influenceable. Could you stop attacking us? Could you stop calling us out?
Wow.
Yeah. Says, we want peace. We don't want you to attack us anymore. The one guy that tweeted the link out, his name is Ben Geller, something like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know? New York Jew.
Oh,
and you know what else?
What?
He's involved in allegedly some pretty sick shit, because I know people in New York, and he's in the DMs of a lot of teenage boys in the conservative movement on Instagram.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Go figure. So, like,
gotcha, bitch.
It's amazing. Like, here I am. I'm a guy that like does a show. I talk about this stuff. We people say I make a lot of sense on these issues, or even if we disagree, say, okay, you see where I'm coming from. But I get involved in these situations where it's like this French guy's giving me money and killing himself, and then the DOJ comes after me. Okay, pay a lawyer $100,000, get that solved. Then they're writing hit pieces about me. Unravel that, and Tucker's behind it with Max Blumenthal. They're putting up $100,000 to get people to promote it. People take the bait, push the hashtag. He's in the DMs of like these guys in high school that I know and Instagram, and it's like, so, I mean, this shit goes deep.
Yo.
And there's layers. It's like I started it out. It's layers. I mean, first they come at you on Twitter, and then if you don't stop, eventually they just keep ratcheting it up until you get to convoluted stuff like this.
Damn.
Wow, man. Bro, there's a targeted attack. I mean, bro, we said it. You're like the most canceled guy, and I'm not surprised at all these fucking powers that be. I'm just really disappointed. Like Tucker Carlson, man.
But
like
see,
I thought he was like the last real one left over there at Fox, man.
See,
like
this
what
is
the fuck?
the beginning of how people get targeted, and it's funny because this happened to Nate now, but it's happened to anybody. So it's just like this is the beginning of what happens when you become a target.
Damn, bro. Like, why? Like, okay, because here's the thing, and let's go back a little bit, right? Because the whole situation, right? And Kanye reinvigorated the JQ, right? He goes on Drink Champs, right? And he mentions that he says the Jews run the media, they run Hollywood. etc. Right? Yeah. Obviously, Drink Champs freaks out, right? I think they cut that episode, if I'm not mistaken, right? They went wild, right?
I think
they film it here in Miami, don't they?
Noriega, took it down.
Yeah,
and they had to explain to everybody why it took it down.
Yeah,
and did he put it back up or no, or just like a clip or edit?
He might have. He definitely took that part out. If they did, they freaked out. I know they got terrified when he said that shit.
And I'm like, yo, Nori, you're supposed to be the guy that's interviews everybody.
Yeah,
why you gotta cut out Kanye? He's an icon. But once again,
you talk about that shit
in the media.
Yeah. So he says that, and then they cut it. Right? They freak out.
Yeah.
Then after the fact, I know that you partnered up with him, but they're trying to pin Kanye West's statements that you're the one that were like the master puppeteer or whatever. But if I'm not mistaken, you came on the campaign after he already made these comments, right?
Yeah, that was after DEFCON 3. That was after Drink Champs. That was after all of it. But
That's crazy.
They even did a BBC documentary. There was some BBC journalist ambushed me out there in LA because I went to go visit one of the properties.
The BBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know how much bullshit they are with the Andrews situation.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And they come out and their angle, they're doing an interview saying, you're exploiting Ye, you're putting these ideas in his head, you're the one that's behind all this. And so they're trying to set me up as like, and here's why. Because a guy like Ye cannot be an anti-Semite for their frame. Okay. He's too much of a genius. He is too successful. He is too prominent. So when they see a guy like Ye go out there and say, I love Hitler, DEFCON 3, all this kind of stuff, it's a much easier sell for them to say, well, he's unwell. It's this white supremacist that put those ideas there. You know, it's this obscure other political guy that you've not heard of. Exactly. The patsy. And they can say about Ye, well, he's really unwell. You know, well, he needs to get on his meds or apologize or whatever. And then they make me the fall guy. And that's how they solve the dilemma of one of the richest, most intelligent, most influential people in the world today saying, it's the Jews, you know, and I love Hitler. So, but this is how they operate. And I was never subjected to that level of subterfuge, you know, because I had been subjected to the censorship and the debanking and the legal persecution and so on. But I'd never been on that level. You look at my Google search trends and it freaking blew up when the Mar-a-Lago thing happened. And so once that happens, then people really want, I mean, the prime minister of Israel put out a statement condemning me.
Wow.
If that guy comes out,
wow.
Back in November. So if he's coming out after
what did he
me,
say?
He condemned me in some, I don't know the exact words, but he condemned me. And then
here's the other thing too. Are you really an anti-Semite if you criticize Israel or you criticize a group of people? Because here's the thing. It's not all Jews. It's a small group of them that are involved in some shit where they're overrepresented in certain groups, certain, let me say, professions and or career fields or how do I say this? Industries. Sorry. They're overrepresented in certain industries, and you just calling that out. Are you really an anti-Semite for that?
Well, by definition, yes, because if you look at, everyone thinks that anti-Semite means, you know, you hate Jews for no reason. That's not what it means. The State Department definition, the CIA fact book definition, ADL's definition of anti-Semitism is very comprehensive. For example, if you think the Holocaust was exaggerated, definition of anti-Semitism. If you think that any Jew has more allegiance to Israel than their home country, that's a definition of anti-Semitism.
What?
You can look it up. FBI definition, State Department definition.
What? Wow.
Straight up. Yeah, I mean, you could literally, because I didn't believe it either, but you could look it up. Everyone thinks it means, oh, you're an anti-Semite, you hate Jews. The FBI, the State Department says you're an anti-Semite if Holocaust exaggerate, you think Jews are loyal to Israel, if you think Jews conspire in the world, which they do. I mean, what's a World Jewish Congress?
Yeah.
I mean, what is that other than a global conspiracy?
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's benign, I mean, conspiracy by definition means
an agreement between two parties or more.
Right. So I mean, having a World Jewish Congress is like the definition of a global conspiracy. But if you say that, boom, anti-Semitic.
Wow.
So by definition, the answer is yes.
That's crazy. See, because you can't even criticize Israel nowadays. What made you famous was a tweet that you made, right? It's what got you on the radar of a lot of people on Twitter. Well, I mean, I know the tweet, but can you tell the people what that tweet was?
Yeah. So I was actually a couple of tweets, but the first one I said something like, if you're loyal to Mexico first, go back to Mexico. If you're loyal to China first, go back to China. If you're loyal to Israel first, go to Israel. I'm America first. And Ben Shapiro quote tweets me. I put out some other tweet with basically the same sentiment. I said something like, I never see an article critical of Israel on Daily Wire. I wonder why that is. Right?
That ain't never happening.
Yeah. That was in 16 or maybe January 17.
Yeah.
And Ben Shapiro quote tweets me. So this is very early on. It's like, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm a nobody. I have like 1,000 followers at this point. He quote tweets me and says, accusing a Jew of dual loyalty is the surest sign of anti-Semitism.
You know what, man? Let me tell you, because I said this the other day. You cannot be a Zionist while simultaneously calling yourself an American patriot. You can't. And the reason why is because Israeli interests don't always align with American interests. I'd argue that a lot of times when we go off of Israeli interests, it puts the United States in compromising situations because we're ending up fighting wars that we don't necessarily need to fight. Look at Iraq, look at Syria. We're in places we don't need to fucking be. And a lot of times it hurts us and it benefits them. So it's like, you cannot sit there and say you're a Zionist while simultaneously saying you're an American patriot. And the fact that you can't even say that nowadays is fucking crazy to me because at the end of the day, bro, we're American first. And here's the other thing too. When I had a clearance, right, working for the government, you can't have dual citizenship. You can't. You have to have, if you want to have a secret, top secret clearance, etc., you must have, and if you did have a second passport, you must renounce that fucking citizenship.
Right.
Why? Because they want you to have allegiance to the United States only. And that's the way it should fucking be. So you can't sit there and tell me, oh, well, Israel first. Okay, cool. If it's Israel first, then you're clearly not America first because our interests don't always align. Do they align sometimes? Yes. But do they align most of the time? A lot of times they don't. And we end up in fucking wars that we shouldn't be. We talked about this with Scott Ritter. Yeah. We went to Iraq for Israel. Period.
Yeah. See, I want to know what it is that Israel has that America needs or has to be scared of because they literally kowtow towards Israel. But I don't know what it is that we're so tight to them.
Yeah, why do we bend over backwards for them, Nick?
Do you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and it's so interesting because I've done the Israel debate a million times, and I've debated like Robert Barnes. He's he's on Rumble, and he's on Alex Jones all the time. He's a lawyer. I kicked his ass because this is an unwinnable position, defending America's support for Israel, because, they'll go down the list and they'll say things like, well, they're our closest ally, they're a special friend in the Middle East. Here's the thing. The Eastern Mediterranean is not a strategically important region. People think Middle East important. What's important in the Middle East is the Persian Gulf, because that's where the oil is. So Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, that's important. Israel is not.
We secured them back in 74.
Exactly.
$1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Eastern Med is not important strategically. They say, well, they buy our military equipment. They also get a sweetheart deal. They're the only country in the world that they don't have to spend all the military aid that they receive from us on our military hardware. They get, I think it's 25% or more they get to spend of our aid on their own defense industry. It's why they have very sophisticated defense industry. So that's not it. They say, oh, well, they help us with intelligence. Really? Because they sell our military secrets to China. They get caught doing it all the time. And they steal intelligence from us. This just happened last week, where Joe Biden was conducting these talks under the table to do another Iran deal. And Netanyahu leaked that this was happening because he's trying to sabotage the deal. So, some ally on the intelligence front. The reason why we bend over backwards for Israel is because they control our system through bribery and espionage and corruption. You look at the Israel lobby in Washington, D.C., it's the richest, most wealthy, most effective lobby. And even
that's a fact, too. That's not even that's 100% a fact. Like the Israeli lobby is extremely powerful, deep pockets, lots of money.
Look no further than Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson, number one donor to the Republican Party for the last 10, 15 years. $500 million to the Republican Party alone, one guy in the last 10 years. They buried him in Israel. When he died, they flew his body on a private jet to Israel, and the body was greeted on the tarmac by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh.
So he's an American billionaire, makes his money in Macau, actually, casino magnate, and there's some connections there between China and Israel. But anyway, he makes his money here in America and uses all of his clout and money to finance the Republican Party becoming the number one pro-Israel party ever. He leads the donor list of individual donors for Republicans every cycle in the last 5 or 6 cycles. Now his wife has taken over, and we talked earlier about DeSantis. Who did DeSantis go to meet in Israel a month before he announced? Miriam Adelson. His wife.
He kissed the wall?
He kissed the wall.
Damn.
And he met with other donors. So it's got nothing to do. They have nothing to offer us. They have nothing to give us. And actually, people don't know this, but this idea that the Arab Muslim world hates us for our freedom or whatever is not real. The Muslim world didn't hate America until after Israel was created. The United States actually had good relations with the Arab Muslim world.
They did.
It wasn't until after Israel was created. Mm-hmm. And even before. If you look at what Muslims thought, there's a good book about this. I forget the author. I think it's Lewis. He has a history of the Middle East. And he talks about how actually the United States was considered different than Europe. Because the Muslims considered Europe the Crusaders, the New Rome, the Christians. But they didn't feel that way about the United States. The reason the Arab Muslims have a problem with us is not because of our freedom or because we're Christian. It's because of our unconditional support for Israel. All the terrorist groups say that, all the legit ones.
What about the argument that they're God's chosen people?
Well, here's the thing about that.
Because the Bible does talk about that, though.
It does.
Before we talk about that, I was just going to say, I speak Arabic, families from Sudan. You watch Al Jazeera, you watch any of the full tapes of them, listing out their demands before they, kill someone or whatever it may be. Because Al Jazeera doesn't censor anything. It's always Israeli support is like at the forefront of their anger. If you listen to, I know people, if you watch Osama bin Laden thing, right, where he talks about blah, 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 why he's mad, at the top of it is Israeli support, right? Get out of Palestine. You guys are occupying a Muslim land, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole thing with 9/11 and Saddam Hussein, etc. Like Saddam and bin Laden hated each other. They didn't even like each other. A matter of fact, the reason why bin Laden hated the United States so much, besides the Israeli situation, is because Osama wanted to fight on behalf of the Saudi royal family to get Saddam out of Kuwait. But that's why. Yeah. And then they're like, no, we're going to use America to fight them, and fuck you and your freedom fighters. I know you beat the Soviets in the 80s, but we don't care about that. Mm-hmm. And that's what pissed him off. So he got pissed because America fought Saudi's war, which he thought was, why are infidels fighting a holy war? And then the Israeli occupation. So like every single terrorist, right? I'm not justifying what they did. You should never kill innocent people. The Quran says you don't kill innocent people, but that's what they're complaining about. It's not our freedom. It's what you said, 100%. They're angry because of Israel being there where the Palestinians were. But sorry, you were talking about the people thing in the Bible.
Yeah, about the chosen people. So here's the thing. As Christians, I'm Catholic, as Christians, we believe that the Jews were chosen as the vessel for the first covenant, which is the 10 Commandments and the law. And that's, by the way, what Jews believe in today. They're people of the law, the 613 commandments. It's all based on that. If you look at these Chabad Orthodox Jews, that's what they're about.
Yeah.
But we as Christians believe that, of course, the prophets prophesied about a Messiah. And we Christians believe that he arrived. His name was Jesus Christ. And so the thing about the Jews, and this is something that I just, people ask me all the time, what book did you read that woke you up on this? I just thought about it. We hear this term Judeo-Christian all the time.
Yeah.
What is a Jew? What is a Christian? A Christian believes that Jesus Christ is God, the Son of God and God. He's a Savior. He died so that our sins could be forgiven and that we could go to heaven. Right? He's supposed to resolve original sin, basically, to put it in a very reductive way. What is a Jew? Well, a Jew is a person who believes in the Old Testament, but doesn't believe that Christ was a Messiah.
Yeah.
So what defines them is that they don't believe that Christ was a Messiah. So how do you have a people, you call it Judeo-Christian. Judeo thinks that Christ is not the Messiah. Christians believe that he is. These are mutually exclusive positions. They're opposites. And so the thing about the Jews is that Catholics do hold that Jews have a special place in world history because of that. And they don't forfeit that. But we believe that the real chosen people now, since the coming of Jesus Christ, the new Israel, is not a piece of land in Palestine. It's not this tribe. It's not the people that practice these, the ancient laws. We believe that the new people of Israel, the new Israel, is the Christians. The new covenant is the covenant that Christ made. Follow me, you'll go to heaven. Take my body, take my blood, you'll go to heaven. And so now Christians are the chosen people. So people use that all the time. They say, well, what's the connection between Jews and Christians? And the connection is this: Jews put Christ on the cross. If you read the gospel, even if you go to Mass at Easter, it's not even like it's ambiguous.
So it wasn't the Romans? Some people say it was the Romans.
Well, the Romans carried it out.
Yeah.
But if you read the gospel, I mean, why was he accused in the first place? What was he accused of? He was accused under the religious law by the Pharisees, by the Jews,
His
of
own
claiming to be
people
God.
turned on him, thinking that he was not God.
Okay.
So he came
I'm
to
not familiar
earth.
with the Bible.
No, he's right. He came to earth for our sins in a human form as God. They saw the miracles. They called him like evil, basically like Antichrist, and basically himself, when he was actually Christ, and he killed him.
Yeah. I mean, even the Quran acknowledges them as the first people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can eat kosher meat as a Muslim. You know what I mean? Like normally you're supposed to, bless it before you behead the animal or whatever. You can eat kosher meat from them. So there's a lot, and they're all also, believe in one God similar. So, all the Abrahamic religions have similarities or whatever. But I think I want to make this very clear, because like some people are watching this show right now, and this isn't to say that Jewish people are bad. This is to say that there's a select few that have heavy influence in American politics that influence things not for the betterment of the United States. It's for the betterment of Israel. And at the end of the day, if you're an American patriot, if you're America first, if you love this country, then you have to look with two eyes wide open. Like, yo, we're doing a lot of shit a lot of the times to benefit a country where we don't get any benefit. We've killed more Iraqis than Saddam Hussein. We went ahead, and how many soldiers died? 1 million? Something crazy during the wars in Iraq?
Yeah, a lot.
I don't think it's 1 million.
I think, with the war on terror in general.
So
something
but it's
wild
a lot.
like that.
That was a lot.
With the war on terror.
Yeah.
We spent $8 trillion on this war. What the fuck do we have to show for it? We made Iraqis more unstable than ever before. ISIS, there's more terrorist groups that came in, became a hotbed of terrorism, which is what we exactly went over there to stop.
Soldiers died too as well.
So American soldiers died for a war that we didn't need to fucking go. And, I know Ryan Dawson is op for you right now, but he showed me something very interesting. 85% of the oil that Israel gets comes from Iraq.
Yep.
Oil. And then if you look at it right now, why is Trump getting prosecuted? He didn't want to go to war with Syria. Who's Syria's top op? You know what I mean? It's all connected, bro. And it's a small minority of them that are involved in a bunch of this bullshit. And then, I showed you that picture. AIPAC isn't even hiding it. 98% of the candidates that they back win. So you can't become a politician in the United States unless you have Israeli interests at heart, even if you don't necessarily want to support them.
Which is why I'm saying DeSantis is playing his part. But
it's playing the game.
To just my last question here for you, Nick.
We all get canceled for this conversation.
Yeah, probably. Okay. We kind of have an idea of what's happening behind the scenes, but how do you even fix it?
Well, first I want to say something about the Jews, okay? And about Jews as like people. It's also important to keep in mind that they also don't believe in Jesus, which is a problem, and people don't know this, but everyone thinks Jews, people of the book, Old Testament, the Torah. But here's the thing. The Jews have other holy books. In the first century, the Jews put together, they basically extrapolate from the Old Testament 613 commandments.
Okay.
Because you have the 10 commandments, but in the Old Testament, it's full of things that they say. Like in Leviticus, they say you can't wear two fabrics together, and they say you can't have milk with meat and things like that. Those aren't in the 10 commandments, but those are among the 613 that they consider the body of the law. They're people that worship the law. So in the first century, they put together what's called the Mishnah, and the Mishnah has all those 613 commandments laid out. Well, the rabbis start to talk about the commandments because, as it turns out, life is very complicated. It's sort of like the hadiths, similar in Islam, where, they imply what happens in the Quran. Not perfect, but similar. And so what they do is they come up with something called the Talmud, where they include the 613 commandments, they include the Mishnah, and they include all the rabbi commentary and interpretation on these things. And this is where we find out about the Jews, because they say things about Jesus Christ in the Talmud. They say that Jesus Christ is burning in hell. They say that the Virgin Mary is a whore. They say all these despicable, 100%. It's in the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud.
I didn't know that.
She belongs to the street.
Yeah, a lot of people know that. And this is like their holy book. Now, back in the Middle Ages, Jews and Christians are living together in Europe, and people started to find out about this. The original Judeo-Christians were Jews that converted to Christianity. Okay. And so there was a famous case where a Jew converted to Christianity in medieval France, and he goes to the king and says, "You're never going to believe what the Jews are saying about Jesus in the Talmud." They say that Jesus is in hell. He's knee deep in excrement and semen. His mother's a whore. He's illegitimate. These things. This is what the Talmud says. And the king says, I don't know. I don't believe you. So they have what's called a disputation. It's like a debate. It's literally like blood sports, like internet blood sports, but in medieval times. They call it a disputation. It's called the Disputation of Paris. And so they order the rabbis, the local rabbis, to come together, pick your top 3 rabbis, and they bring the Catholic priests together and have a debate about what's in the Talmud. And there is so much outrage about what is in the Talmud among the Christians in France that across Paris, after this is resolved, they burn the Talmud. Everywhere they can find a copy, they burn it in the streets of Paris. Now, I remember a couple of years ago.
Was this? Like, when was this?
This was in, I think, the 14th or 15th century.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, though. I don't know off the top of my head.
I had never heard about that. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah. And there were a few of these. There was a disputation in Barcelona. There was some disputations in Italy. These happened throughout Europe in the Middle Ages, and they had different effects. So a couple of years ago, you remember the Notre Dame was on fire. You remember this?
Yeah.
Big, famous French cathedral. And this is like a symbol of humanity. It's also a cathedral. It's a Catholic church. When that cathedral is on fire, there's a famous Jewish leader who got a lot of heat. He said, "This is our revenge for the Disputation of Paris." He said, "This is our revenge for the burning of the Talmud back in the Middle Ages." And so what's important to understand, when these Jews come into America in the last century and they cut through our society like a hot knife through butter, you see Ryan Dawson's explaining. I think he does a good job of doing this, even though I don't really care for him. He does a good job.
We're gonna make you guys friends again. But sorry,
I hope so. We're adults. We put it behind ourselves, but
you guys are too important.
Yeah, and he's good at what he does. When he paints a picture of these Jews in society at the Sunborn Institute, for example, and the transportation networks, and he talks about the organized crime and the Israelis and the Irgun and these groups. Why do they cut through American society like a hot knife through butter? It's because they're race loyal. It's because they're tribal. It's because they can count on these other Jews.
They put Israel first.
Exactly.
They're real patriots. That's one 100%. Thing I will say I respect it. Like, they literally will do anything for their country.
Right.
I respect that.
But do you know why?
Why?
Because they think they're God's chosen people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and
we're not.
See, I'm looking at the geopolitical angle. I don't have the religious aspects like you guys were talking. So this is like a very interesting conversation because I'm bringing in the geopolitical side, and then you guys got like the religious side. Like I didn't even know about the Book of Talmud. Like I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and here's the important thing is that all the Jews that came into America, because people's rebuttal all the time as well, these Jews are atheists. These Jews are liberal. They're secular humanists. All the Jews that came to America from Eastern Europe were religious 100 years ago. Yeah. So all the Jews today either are religious or they have a grandparent or a dad or great-grandparent who's religious, and they're very communitarian. So they go to Jewish schools, Jewish neighborhoods, all this. And so you have to wonder, and there's a great book about this.
Money, they all make money. They share money with each other. Like that's why the wealth stays with them. Like they literally know, oh, you're Jew. Okay, I'm gonna support you. Oh, yeah, I'm making $1. You're gonna make $1. They hire each other. Nepotism is practiced. That's how they keep the wealth.
Well, they're communitarian, and there's a book about this called by I think it's Israel Shayhak, and he's quoted by Ron Unz on the Unz Review. He's got a book and an essay called "The Weight of 3,000 Years," and he talks about what is the impact of 3,000 years of Jews hating Jesus, hating Christians, thinking that Jews are better than Christians. I mean, they think that we're animals. They call us goyim. Goyim means cattle. They think we're animals.
Really?
They don't think we're people.
Gentiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And You
Same
know,
for
and,
Muslims too.
And in the religious law, there's all sorts of double standards. Like they think that you can lend money to a Gentile with interest, not to a Jew.
Usury, yeah.
And there's all sorts of double standards like this.
Because can any other religion, if I'm not mistaken, Islam usury is banned. In Christianity, is it banned, guys?
Usury is a sin in Catholicism.
Okay.
It is?
I don't know about Protestants, but yeah, for Catholics, usury is a sin.
Not for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, and that's why they say they got so rich is because they were the only group that could lend. And so they would go into these countries. And here's the other thing. The reason that Jews were made in many jurisdictions tax collectors is because they were the most vicious towards the native people. They didn't give a shit about English people. That's why the crown made them the tax collectors, because they would go and do the worst. That's why in the Russian Revolution in 1917, which was all Jews, I mean, all the Bolsheviks were Jews, they went in and slaughtered the royal family. That's why they went in and slaughtered all the kulaks, because it was Jews carrying out this revolution. And they looked at these Russian serfs as oppressors, as Christians, as goyim, as cattle. And so you have to wonder, what is the weight of 3,000 years of this attitude? It's not just these people. And that's where I disagree with Dawson. Dawson says, well, it could be anybody if it was Chinese, if it was Russians, but it's not. And it's not interchangeable. The people that are running these countries hate Jesus Christ. They write in their religious book. No other religion is like this. Even Muslims, as you know, see Jesus as a prophet.
As a prophet. We acknowledge him and yeah.
Not Jews. Jews hate him. So it's not just any group that's running the society. It's not just any group that wields its influence. It's a group that hates God. It's a group that hates Christians. It's a group that historically has hated Europeans. And, you know, all you have to do is listen to them. This is the last thing I'll say. Bret Stephens, I quote this all the time. He's a columnist at the New York Times. He's an Israeli Zionist Jew. He used to write for Jerusalem Post. He did a debate a few years ago with a big famous rabbi, Rabbi Shmuley in New York City. And this was the debate topic. It says, is Trump good for the Jews? That was literally the debate topic, which is like,
okay,
says a lot in itself.
Yeah.
And he says his case is this. He says that having a nationalist leader is never good for us as a people. Having a populist leader is never good for us as a people. He said, we thrive in a liberal international environment. He says, when Trump attacks immigration, it should be a scandal because it attacks the core of the liberal international principles that have been so good to us as Jews. That's a direct quote.
Wow.
And it's like, so once you hear that, it all starts to fall into place, whether it's the Zios or the so-called secular humanist Jews, the atheists that run Hollywood and the media. These people have it out for us, and they have it out for God. And you can't have a virtuous, good society if it's being run by people that have turned away from Jesus Christ.
You want to know something funny about this whole conversation? The Jews, who are God's chosen people, will inevitably bring about the end of the world.
That's
because they're fighting a war that they think is right, but it's the opposite of what God actually wants. And in the Bible, Revelations speaks about it.
That's true.
Which is why all the time you're trying to fight it, you can't fight it because it's going to happen.
Well, they want to rebuild the third temple.
Yep.
They want to, and we see their Messiah as our Antichrist.
Exactly.
They think there's going to be a worldly Messiah.
So what does the devil do? He did everything opposite. What are the Jews doing? Opposite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I mean,
yeah.
See, the whole religious aspect side, I didn't know any of that. I look at it like, because I'm looking at it like, if you look at it from a geopolitical angle, like, bro, it's. I mean, you look at who stole the nuclear bomb from the United States. You look at 9/11. You look at there was 100% proof that there was Israeli intelligence involved in, you know, the towers going down as well as Saudi Arabia. You look at the JFK assassination, which no one wants to talk about, but the Jewish mafia was 100% involved alongside the La Cosa Nostra and the CIA. But you look everywhere with any crazy situation, they're there. So it's like, okay, you got to start to look, okay, well, who's involved, blah, blah. And you look and you see like it's a small minority of Zionists that typically are involved in some type of situation where they're heavily influencing American politics. And then if you look, right, you look at like Putin, right? Putin got rid of all the Jewish oligarchs after the fall of the USSR. That's another reason why the American media hates Putin so much. Another bomb drop for y'all.
Yeah.
Like, he got rid of all the Jewish oligarchs after the USSR fell, because that was a big reason why the USSR fell in general, because the wealth came in. Hey, Israel first. Fuck Russia.
No, you're right.
Boom. And then he got rid of all of them. Where'd they go? Ukraine.
Anyone who's an enemy of Israel is the enemy of the world, basically.
Yeah. So that, I mean,
that's
one
right.
thing I will give them, they fucking take patriotism seriously. They put their country first. It is what it is. Like I said, my view is I have an issue with the globalist, the elite that are fucking up America. I mean, maybe you guys have a different take, but my thing is that small percentage that are influencing American politics for the betterment of Israel and not necessarily the betterment of the United States. I think that's where people need to start looking. But you can't even mention this shit. If we had this conversation on YouTube, gone, banned.
Well, my take is I agree that's happening. However, saying it in public, shit like this, isn't gonna help anybody. If anything,
we got 30,000 plus people watching right now. Shout out to all y'all ninjas that are aware.
But Nick, tell me if you agree.
31K.
You saying these things makes you what?
Canceled.
And what?
What?
A target. And
True.
Eventually,
you're probably on the Mossad list.
Yeah, eventually.
No, we about to be on it too, nigga.
well, hey man.
Yo.
Listen, Jews.
Shout out to Rumble, man.
I understand what it is, man. But
shout out to Rumble, man.
I'm
Free
saying,
speech, man. But man,
Anyhow,
it's the truth, man. These guys literally influence American politics to a degree where it puts us in bad situations. Like, if we were not so in bed with Israel, we wouldn't be getting the amount of terrorist attacks that we get every single time. But before these niggas yell Allah Akbar, it's because of fucking American foreign policy in the Middle East. That's every single time.
Yes, but it has to happen though.
Like
this whole process of like them doing these things for their agenda has to happen.
I think that's true ultimately, but by the same token, we don't know how much longer we have.
Yeah, we don't know.
So it could ebb and flow.
So to wait, I would say this: to wake people up is definitely good, but I just think you got to do it in a certain way where like you don't end up martyring yourself because then you're gonna stop the message. That's what I think. Yeah,
I mean, you're certainly right. There's no doubt about that. I just feel like there's a fine line because so many people, they don't want to fight battles.
Yeah.
They think that taking risk, getting heat, taking shots, they're so averse. And sort of what I want to do is to go out and say, like, I'm not afraid. Like, I'm going to go out and say the message and all this. Because there's just this culture of fear. Everybody's so afraid to say anything. And the problem, because although you're right, it's one of these things where it's like, here's what I mean by this. I agree with what you're saying, and I know what you're saying is true. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, if everybody believed that, I feel like no one would say anything. You know what I mean? And so it's very important that you acknowledge that and understand that, but at the same time understand that, sometimes people got to say stuff. Sometimes people got to take the ball and move it down the field.
And I agree. However, Tristan got a lot of heat for this on Twitter. He was saying, in a nutshell, yes, these things are true about the JQ, but why not focus on yourself as a man, becoming better, and be successful? Because then you can make a change in your community indirectly. My thing is, yes, acknowledge what's happening. When you want to bring a solution, the solution is, hey, fuck that shit. I can't stop what they're doing. I can focus on my family, my immediate environment, and change that.
That's fair, but bro, most people don't even know what the shit that we're talking. I mean, hell, even me. I know the geopolitical side. I didn't know the religious side that y'all just mentioned.
No. But knowing it doesn't change the course. Only thing that changes is, okay, now you're a target. Versus, for example, you know what? As a man, can you make money for your family and influence people? Can you do that? If you can't do that, then you're talking about it. For most people, doesn't change anything. That's what I'm saying here.
I think people should be aware, though.
Being aware doesn't change it. What you should do is focus on yourself.
But if you're aware, right, then you can move accordingly.
True, but at what cost?
I only fear God.
But here's the thing. There's a good amount of people that are aware of it to a degree. They're quiet about it. We're talking about it. We're out here. It's JQ time, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is too much of a bitch to have this conversation. You can't have this conversation on no major podcast. That's let's keep it 1,000, right? I mean, hell, when you went on Tim Pool, what happened?
Well, yeah, that was over very quickly. Last like 30 seconds.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're probably the only big podcast that's talking about shit like this. You know what I mean? And hey, at the end of the day, like I said before, do I agree with every single thing Nick says? No, but you know what? His fucking freedom of speech needs to be protected. And he should be able to say this shit. And a lot of things you say are true. Like, bro, we literally are doing a bunch of shit that compromises American national security for a country that doesn't necessarily give a fuck about us. They stole the nuclear bomb from us. They've stolen secrets from us. The biggest spy in American history, Jonathan Pollard. What did he do? He sold our secrets to the top ops, the Russians.
Yeah.
And he got out of prison and they let him go back to Israel. Crazy. If any other group of, if any other nationality did this to us, China, Russia, anywhere from the Middle East, gone. an FBI agent, Robert Hansen, sold secrets to the Russians. He got life. He went to ADX Florence Max. He actually died like a month ago.
Yeah.
Right? But this guy sells secrets to the same ops. Gets out in 20, 30 years on parole. Federal time, which they don't give you parole in federal time, by the way. Fucking weird. And he gets on a private jet, goes back to the homeland.
Yeah.
The boys.
All right, we got some girls coming up and some chats here from Rumble.
Yeah. I just was a great discussion. God damn it.
Yeah, that was
very good.
Masai's going to show up here and kill us, but that's fine.
I just want people to realize that, like, yes, have the knowledge of it, but you yourself, you might lose your job, your family. I mean,
don't talk about this shit publicly, guys.
Right now, we're at risk right now. You guys are not. You say, oh, first scared, nigga. I got shit to do with it. You don't have to do with it. Okay.
Yeah. The real talk, guys. Like, yo.
Yeah.
Don't play this podcast out loud at your job. Don't JQ out in public in real life. Like, bro, enjoy it here, but like, bro,
it's almost like the red pill. You don't want to exactly preach it, live it, so they can see it, and then, oh, you know what? I want to be like him.
This is the fastest way to get your shit fucked up, guys. All right. Nick looks like the guy that doesn't put no seasoning on his chicken because he's a white guy.
Oh, true.
Fantastic. Whitler goes, Myron and Fresh, you are forever honorary Groypers for this. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, my friend. Shout out to all you guys. Yo, you got a loyal supporter base, man. Shout out to all of them. Thanks for having Nick Fuentes on the show. Big shout out to you guys. Nick's next event, Fuentes Rally 2, is on July 16th, only on cozy.tv. Yes, guys.
All right.
Cozy.tv/Nick. Cozy.tv/Nick. Check them out. So happy to see Nick. Great.
All right.
I always learn something when I'm with this guy. Follow Nick on Cozy.tv and Rumble and Nick J. Fuentes. Absolutely. He's on Rumble as well, guys. Yes. Go check him out on Rumble. W. Nick hiding your power level. Love speech. And then we got that hoodie drippy Nick. Okay. Philippi J goes, NJF verse 10 Jewish women next. It'll be better than that. Don't worry. We love Nick. Okay. We'll probably bring some Jewish girls for y'all on Monday. Nick, you need to unretire Nick the knife. Okay. Mexipino goes, yo, Nick, what's your favorite saint? And Norvo, Ordo, or TLM?
St. George, my confirmation saint. And, well, I'm like Novus Ordo. I'm post-trad. The TLM stuff's gotten out of control, I think.
Fair enough. We got here Skathy. I suggest you bring infamous internet personality and friend and associate of Nick, Ethan Ralph, on the show. He's seasoned with cancel culture and will excel with girls panel. Ask Nick, he can connect you.
Who's that?
One of his homies, I guess.
He's a legend. He's a Gamergate legend. And maybe I'll give you his number.
Okay. Cool. Yo, Nick, what's the origin of the beef with John Doyle? I like the guy, but anyways, W stream. W Nick.
He attacked me. He attacked me on a Twitter space. So I attacked him back.
All right.
The frog. Dalmar goes, whoa, this is one of the problems, ethnic issues. Spain is in Europe. Southern Spain certainly does not look like Norway. Lot of peeps directly descended from Spain in Mex that kept bloodlines. Okay, fair enough. Fresh, don't lie. You love Nick. Christ is king.
I don't hate anybody. I once again, like, we can agree to disagree. I just think, personally speaking, I don't promote doing what I do. Do what you want to do. I live my life. You live your life. And ultimately, I'm gonna fuck white hoes. That's it, bro. I'm
Keep ducking the door. I'm gonna fuck white hoes and milk.
I can't stop you yet. I'm teasing you.
Next thing you know,
the white hoes.
First go wake up. He gonna see a Bernie cross and a bunch of niggas in white hoods. Fucking our women. Nick's gonna pull the rope out. It's time.
Put on the shirt.
Next thing you know, shirt on. My big speaker up here. Wait, what?
I'm gonna scream BBC.
BBC. You won't be able to when they hang you, bro. All right, this is my first time tuning in to your guys' stream. You guys are killing it. We're an ammo dealer based out of Arizona. If any of you guys need ammo, use code FreshAFit at lastshotsaz.com. All right, man. Shout out to you, man.
Hey, man, you didn't clear that West, bro. What the fuck going on, man?
Go get some ammo in Arizona, ninjas. All right, guys, we got some lovely ladies here, so we're gonna be back here. Chris, call it.
10:45.
Chris, you got to wait. Hold on.
Damn, nigga.
No.
You got, bro. You just because Nick is here doesn't mean you got to be a white supremacist now.
Too. Listen, man.
This nigga screaming out white power.
10:30, Chris. 10:30, Chris.
He got too excited. He saw Nick in here. He was like, "Oh shit, yes.
Oh shit!
I can finally show my racism." All right, guys, we'll be right back here with Nick and some lovely ladies, man. We'll catch you guys back in a bit. And
Peace.
Yo, check out Nick on cozy.tv/Nick. Go support him over there, guys. We'll be back in a little bit. Peace.
Peace.
I ran so far away.